Slam George Springer.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Second and 10 as that Tennessee defense drops back. As long as try to make a diving and tipped it. Mahomes who tiptoes inside the 10. Still not out. Oh, what a run out of this world.
Well, a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province. Go to PlayAlberta.ca. I'm Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley. You can always get involved. You can text us 833-401-1440 is the text line. I'm sure we will have lots of interaction on that today. If you are listening and watching live on our YouTube channel, Oilers Nation, hello to you. You got the live chat. Cons and Declan and myself will chime in there as well. If you have any questions, we can always answer them there. You can always send us email in our Jiffy Lube inbox, gregor@sports1440.ca. Of course, text us 833-401-1440 is the text line. Lineup today, as always, Con Man doing a great job. It's pretty solid. So you look at who is coming on today. Terry Ryan, of course, will be our regular Monday co-host. He will join us. We will have Jeff Patterson out of Vancouver as we continue to preview some teams around the league. And we're starting with a lot of the teams that I think Oilers fans are most interested in. Those are the teams that the Oilers will be facing most. Calgary, Vancouver, Western Conference ones to make our way out east as the preseason gets going. Preseason actually starts on, I think the first games are Saturday. The Oilers is Sunday at 4:00 against the Winnipeg Jets. Andi Petrillo will join us. She was hosting the inaugural PWHL draft today, Professional Women's Hockey League, as they are almost wrapping up their inaugural draft. So we'll talk to you. And lots of defense and goalies going early in that draft. Tre Ford, the entertaining and victorious quarterback of the Edmonton Elks, will join us as the Elks now 4-1 in their last 5. They were down 10-0 in Saskatchewan on Friday. They come back, get a big win over the Green and White Riders, and albeit slim chance, you're telling me there's still a chance that the Green and Gold can make the playoffs. And you know what? They're playing very well, which at this point I think is all that matters for them. And you know what? I'm sure if I asked them honestly, they do not want the bye week right now. The bye week comes at like the worst possible time for the Elks, as they. Oh, no, sorry. They're not the bye week. It's next week's the bye week. So they play on Friday against BC. Then the following week is their bye week. So you know what? Try to keep rolling. You never know. They're at home against the Lions, who, pretty decent team. They're 9-4. But Edmonton, hey, they pushed Winnipeg. Could have won that game. And they're 2 games behind Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan does have a game in hand. So the Elks obviously got to keep rolling. Realistically, I think Edmonton's going to have to win out to have any chance of making the playoffs. Because if they go 3-1, then all Saskatchewan would have to do is win one of their remaining games, if I'm not mistaken. And so, because if you look, they're 2-1 against Edmonton this season. And as I'm looking through the schedule, Edmonton. Yeah, they play Winnipeg, BC, Toronto, and that's it. So no more games against Saskatchewan. So Saskatchewan has wrapped up the season series, right? They play Montreal. That's the other one. So if it's a tiebreaker, Saskatchewan gets it because they're 2-1. So if Edmonton goes 3-1, the Riders, all they have to do is win one of their last 5 games. So you got to put the pressure on them. You probably got to win out and then hope that the Riders only win one of their remaining, actually two, I guess, in that point. So we'll see how it goes. Also on the program today, we'll hear from Bronte, Spec. We will have another edition of 2-Minute Warning with Cam Tate. Also hear from Connor Brown on the show. The Edmonton Oilers vets will have their medicals on Wednesday. And then the team expecting 55 players, 56 maybe, on the ice in a few sessions on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the preseason action gets going Sunday and Monday. But Sunday first against the Winnipeg Jets. Other news and notes, another busy weekend in the National Football League. Some crazy games. Oh, man, tomorrow, how excited is Stridey going to be? It's quite the comeback for the New York Giants. The Cincinnati Bengals are off to a tough start. They're 0-2, and Joe Burrow admitted that he re-aggravated his calf injury in that 27-24 loss to Baltimore. Things not looking great. It's early, but still not looking great. Tonight, a double dip on Monday night. New Orleans is in Carolina, and Cleveland is in Pittsburgh. Connor Halley will be in Spruce Grove, the Canadian Brew House. Watch the game. Say hello to all the Spruce Grovians, Con Man.
Yeah, I love it out in Spruce. Gas is a little bit cheaper there, so I'll be filling up the tank, and then I'll head over to the brew house and, get some great food, some drinks. If you're out there, swing by. I'll buy you a beer, and you'll have a chance to go to the Super Bowl down in Vegas. We're qualifying a couple winners for that as well, plus some prizes on site. So, Gregor, always a good time at the brew house for Monday, Thursday, and Sunday football.
Dude, that is quite the trip that you can win. The other top story, of course, in the sporting world right now is the debacle that has been the Mike Babcock hiring for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was officially unveiled as the head coach on July 1st. It had been rumored that he couldn't sign the contract because his one with Toronto, anything he signed before he'd take it, so they waited, and then he got all the full money from Toronto, and then his contract began 79 days earlier before he resigned yesterday. Why did he resign? Well, it turns out he crossed the line, abused his power as a head coach. And the story, Elliot Friedman had it that basically, quote, it occurred in a meeting away from team facilities that included several minutes of looking through a phone. It might be phones of players. Why? Abuse of power. But the worst part is, go back to his original comment when Paul Bissonnette from the Spitting Chicklets podcast, he was the one who exposed it, saying, hey, you know what? This is what I'm hearing. Now, he said it was Boone Jenner in his original comment, so it wasn't Jenner that was asked. Jenner and Babcock did exchange questions, but Babcock, in a typical bully, he doesn't go after his captain. He doesn't try to bully his captain. No. He schmoozes up his captain, tries to be all super nice, and the captain's like, geez, what a nice guy. We had a really good conversation. He showed me his family. I showed him mine. No big deal, right? But that's what bullies do. They pick on the vulnerable, the young, the inexperienced NHL players who a coach has a massive say in where their career might go, right? A massive say. So I know there's lots of people, well, somebody would have asked me for my phone. Yeah, or all right there. You can't even put your name on your own Twitter account, but you're telling me I'm supposed to believe you they're going to stand up to a head coach when you're 19 years of age? Stop, okay? Stop with the tough guy act, right? It's very difficult to do that when you're 19, 20, 21, and the person on the other side who's asking you for something is the person who really has a big say and can potentially control how your career begins or prematurely ends. So, but Babcock, in his quote, asked them to share off their phones family pictures as part of the process of getting to know them better. Sounds like that was a little bit misleading. He did that with Boone Jenner, yes. Seemed all above board, no problem. Johnny Gaudreau, sure, another veteran being in the league a long time. But somehow he treated his young players differently. Now, have we seen this pattern before? Now, you could ask Mitch Marner. Yep. Remember when he asked, now maybe you don't know, Terry Cochon back in 2019 was the first one who had the story how Babcock had went to Mitch Martin and said he wanted him to list off the players who had the best work ethic on the team. You're asking a young player, second year in the league, hey, why don't you list which team? And then you know what the coach did? He took the list and showed it to the rest of the players. That's what you call abusing your power, manipulating your players, and playing mind games. Afterwards, what did Babcock say? Well, you know what? I addressed it the wrong way. I was trying to focus on work ethic with Mitch. That's what his comment was. This time, when he resigned, in typical Babcock fashion, he took no accountability. None. Upon reflection, it has become clear that continuing as head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets was going to be too much of a distraction. While I'm disappointed to not have had the opportunity to continue the work we've begun, I know it's in the best interest of the organization for me to step away at this time. I wish everyone in the organization well in the upcoming season. Did he take accountability for anything? No. Because that's what he does. There was nothing in there that said, you know what? I misstepped. Nothing. Sadly, his own GM, and they had a little bit of an about face in the press conference today, but in their press release, they actually thanked Mike Babcock for his hard work and professionalism in agreeing to on a plan to step down. Oh, great. Let's applaud Mike Babcock for unbelievable professionalism in devising a plan that he can step down because of his unprofessionalism. Right? Unbelievable. So, but to me, there's a bigger story here. That in itself, awful. The good news for those young players, what Babcock did is not on the level of Johan Franzen. And maybe you don't know Johan Franzen's story, right? Here's a quote, if you're called Johan Franzen, talking about Chris Chelios is the first one who mentioned how Babcock had verbally berated Franzen on the bench. Quote, I get shivers when I think about it. That incident occurred against Nashville in the playoffs. It was coarse, nasty, and shocking. But that was just one out of 100 things he did. The tip of the iceberg. He's a terrible person. The worst I have ever met. He's a bully who was attacking people. It could be a cleaner at the arena in Detroit or anybody. He would lay into people without any reason, said Johan Franzen. You have lots of examples of Mike Babcock being a less than desirable human being in his interaction with his players. On record from the players. Last week, when Paul Bissonnette was the one who said, hey, this is what I'm hearing, go look and see how many people. Oh, he's making this up to get ratings. Yeah, he has the #1 rated podcast for over 2 years. Yeah, he needs, quote, ratings to maintain that. Give your head a shake. Now, if you want to say, you know what, I disagree with the tone and the crass nature that they have sometimes on the Spitting Chicklets podcast, that's totally fair. You're entitled to that. I could understand it. Makes sense. But that has nothing to do with saying Bissonnette's a liar. He didn't lie. He exposed the truth. That's a fact. But here's what when I watched this and I saw the vitriol that went Bissonnette's way because Mike Babcock had said, well, this is incorrect. Yeah, because usually that's what the bully does, right? Mike Babcock, after he got resigned, couldn't say he did anything wrong. You think he was going to originally? Of course not. But look at this. And when you think of big picture, what Babcock did was idiotic, right? It was an abuse of power. But thankfully, for those young players, it's not something that should scar them for life. They shouldn't have nightmares about it. Unlike people who get abused, sexually abused, raped, right? That's something that lasts with you forever. But think about how Paul Bissonnette, who, by the way, wasn't the one who Babcock was doing this to, he was just speaking up for those who had it happen to them. And people still automatically went to not believing him, claiming he was fabricating it, even though Babcock had a track record that Johan Franzen, Mike Commodore, and many others had said this is how he works. And people still didn't want to believe it. And when you think about, is it dumb and moronic to ask for someone's phone? Yes. But in the grand scheme of things, as far as vile goes, it's not vile. It's moronic. It's an abuse of power. It's not vile. So you wonder how people who get physically abused, men or women, boys or girls, sexually abused, raped, why they don't speak up. Because look at how people reacted to something that's not even that vile, and they didn't believe it. And you think they're going to believe you when you come out with this? Hey, guess what? The hockey coach, the soccer coach, the principal, the radio announcer, you pick it. They're from all walks of life. Predators exist everywhere. And people don't believe it. Society needs to take a long, hard look at being so quick to automatically, and please don't text into it. Well, there's some people that lie. Yes, there are. Stop worrying about the small minority. Okay? The vast majority, kids, they've been studies on it. Kids don't make up stories like this. Right? Women don't. And Paul Bissonnette, people were like, well, I don't like how Paul Bissonnette's on his podcast, so I can call him a liar, and that's okay. No, it isn't. They're totally two different things. It's like the people say, well, that girl slept around in high school, so clearly that's why she got raped 8 years later. There's no correlation at all. Right? And we need to be better. Right? And hockey, the Columbus Blue Jackets. We said it at the time. Why are you hiring Mike Babcock? Why? What has he done that's successful in the last decade to earn this many more chances? Because he clearly didn't learn from his time in Detroit, because look what he did to Mitch Marner. And now before the season even starts, this is what he does to his young players. He's a bully. And at every level of sport, there are bullies. Stop protecting them. Stop empowering them. Stop it. Okay? I don't care how good of a coach you think they are. They're replaceable. Okay? At any level. I don't care if it's U11. I don't care if it's U18. I don't care if it's the NHL. If they're that deplorable of a human being to want to treat people like that, they don't need them in sport. You don't need them in the office. You don't need them anywhere. Stop protecting the bullies and the predators and the psychopaths. We need to do, as a society, collectively, we need to do better. We always talk about, people want to talk about the toxic culture of sports and in hockey. And there are some where it exists, no question. There's lots of good. But we need more of the good to stand up to the bad in sports and in life. And so, speaking about Mike Babcock, there's no reason to anymore. He's out of the league, and hopefully he's out of coaching again. He doesn't deserve another chance because he has proven he doesn't learn. He's a bully at heart. Full stop. You have Johan Franzen on record. You have Mike Commodore on record. You have Chris Chelios on record. You have Mitch Marner on record. How much more do you need? Wake up. We'll return on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You'll absolutely love the new and app-approved Booster Juice app. Download it today and start earning berry points for app-amazing rewards. Apply your points for all of your Booster Juice favorites for free. From booster balls to smoothies, snacks, and combo deals. Even digital gift cards. Plus, receive personalized offers that appeal directly to you. The new and app-approved Booster Juice app. More than just online ordering. Download it today. Details at boosterjuice.com.
Ain't it beautiful?
There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Are you ready to light up your game like Edmonton lights up the ice?
Then choose eWell.
Electrical Wholesalers Edmonton Limited offers lightning fast service. Just like your favorite forward, they deliver your electrical supplies in record time.
Plus winning quality. They only stock the best.
And don't forget about their all-star support. When it comes to customer service, they're the playmakers.
So don't sit in the dark. Make the power play and visit eWell today. Online at ewel.ca, where excellence in electrical meets the heart of hockey.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Trevor is lonely. Yeah. So Trevor threw a big party and served salad.
Nobody came.
Mike is also lonely.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
So Mike threw a big party and served Will Hawk beef jerky.
Go Will Hawk! Go Will Hawk! Everybody came!
Will Hawk beef jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Will Hawk is the home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
In Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall. Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Stock up and save big when you buy more of select products. Only at Buy Low Foods.
Every Wendy's meal could use something a little crispy, dippy, and made with 100% all-white seasoned chicken. So next time, add a 6-piece of crispy chicken nuggets to your Wendy's order for just $3.49. You won't regret it. Taxes extra. Price and participation may vary.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, the clear choice for all your auto, residential, and commercial glass. Call 310 Glass or book now at crystalglass.ca.
What up, everybody? So glad you're here. Schoolio put the flow back in your ear. This ain't a fantastic voice, but I'm still on the mission to see if I can get your attention. Now, I want to drop some information, just a little additive to your education. I live my life by the code of the 600 watt 18s in the trunk.
We continue on Monday afternoon. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, also live on Oilers Nation YouTube. Many of you hitting the subscribe button. We love it. Thanks for joining us on there. Good conversation going on right now. You can join in there. You can always text us or Jiffy Lube inbox 833-401-1440. It is time for the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. And if you're looking for a great deal on a vehicle right now, whether you want a demo, new, or a certified pre-owned Volvo, you can get it financing at only 1.49%. Stop in at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, volvoedmonton.com. Tell them the Gregor Show sent you. You get a good deal. So we welcome in Robin Brownlee, our weekly guest every Monday and Thursday. Rubes, how you doing?
Hey, Jason, I'm terrific. So what's happening around the league today? Anything happening with Columbus?
Hey, just wait a sec. We'll get to that. Is that an LA Clippers jacket you got on?
Yeah, LA Clippers warm-up jacket.
Where'd you get that? That's like old school, man. That's pretty money. I like that.
Yeah, well, strangely enough, I got it in LA during the years when they were not anything special to speak of. They were the second act on the hardwood down there, so I picked one up, and I whip it out occasionally. I think it's been seen around a Stingers game or two here in town. Yeah, a little NBA style.
Well, it's old school. You must have got it at the bargain basement bin. That's why you picked it up, knowing the rubes, right? You're never buying that at full price.
No. Yeah, somewhere in the middle there, Jason. Somewhere in the middle.
I talked about it earlier, and I know we have to address it. And then after that, to me, it's not even, giving him more airtime is kind of a joke. But I can't say I'm surprised at all that this occurred. And I know people would say, well, why doesn't he learn? Bullies don't want it. Lots of people don't change their stripes. As Maya Angelou famously said once, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe it. Now, you got to hope that maybe people evolve and change. And Babcock at his press conference in July, I went back and read his comments, and I was like, he used his daughter. Oh, she told me how tone matters and all this stuff, and I'm going to be a better communicator. And then here we are, the first opportunity he has with players around. This is the path he opts to go down with his young players. It's unbelievable.
Jason, I was going to jump in on the chat on the YouTube, but I didn't want, things can get goofy there if it's taken the wrong way. I first met Mike in 1980 or 1993. He was coaching Lethbridge.
Yep.
I was covering the Bears then. I sat in the rink then and talked hockey with him, and it was a nice conversation. I sat in Anaheim with him when he was with, the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks had come out to LA to play during the lockout. Talked hockey, real good. But here's the thing, though. I don't have to play for him. I am not under his control. Mike Babcock is a knowledgeable guy. He can be a charming guy, but what he is, and we've seen it, and to what you said, he's a bully and he's a manipulator, and bullies don't change their stripes. You can kick the crap out of them and maybe set them straight for a little while or get them to back off. But Mike is what Mike is. That's what he's been all his adult life as a coach. And it doesn't fly now. And it's funny. When I saw your item at Oilers Nation today, I thought, oh, well, I was already started mine. Here are two guys writing about Babcock, but you can't leave it alone. And it's funny. I remember the old days. I'm actually 5 years older than Mike Babcock. I've seen when that was the norm. I've seen coaches who coach like he does have success. Their names are on Stanley Cups. They have Stanley Cup rings. But I sometimes wonder if it's in spite of how they coached, not because of how they coached. You need to treat your players and the people you collaborate with as equals. There's separation there. It's not about being Joe Good Guy and I want to be buddies with my players. You call the shots and they listen, but you can't bully people and beat them down and have them under your thumb and expect it to work over the long term. And I think Mike hasn't been able to adjust. The game has passed him by. Today's athletes do not respond to the way he coaches.
No, not at all. So now, I have to think that their GM's on pretty thin ice now. If they get off to a slow start, he's the one who hired him. John Davidson also involved in that with Kekalainen, and so we'll see where it moves forward. Who knows? It might be a blessing in disguise for their young players, and Johnny Gaudreau and others, because there's a lot of people that felt like, yeah, that's probably not going to be something that works out very well. So we'll see Pascal Vincent. Now, Pascal Vincent has 21 years of coaching experience. He coached in the Quebec Major Junior League for 10 years. Then he was assistant coach in the NHL for 5 years in Winnipeg. Then he was the head coach of Winnipeg's AHL team. Then he joined Columbus last year as an assistant coach. And now, of course, signed a 2-year contract to be the head coach. He's put in his time. There's no question. He's in a tough spot because now he's got to come in, probably change some things that Babcock wanted to do. Because, the assistant coach, you can counter some things with the coach, say, hey, what about this or that? But ultimately, the head coach has final say. Now he'll have the final say. And unfortunately for him, he'll probably have to try to mend this early on. If I was him, I would talk to all the players who had it done, said, guys, that's not happening. That's not how I work. But I want us to have an open line of communication and we move forward. The Blue Jackets, I'm not sure how good they're going to be anyway, but this is definitely not the thing they wanted when the season began. Now, switching to the CFL, the Elks, they are down 10-0 on the road in Saskatchewan. It's not a great start, but they just keep clawing back, and their running attack continues to absolutely demolish teams. Like, they're running for fun the last few weeks. Kevin Brown, that touchdown run when he busted to the outside, man, it was a thing of beauty. Like, he's got the speed. Obviously, Tre Ford, who's going to join us on the show later on today, is rolling. It's too little too late for this season, most likely, unless they can win 4 in a row and Saskatchewan can basically stub their toe all the way home. But at least there's cause for, some excitement. But does this strong end to the season, like, I don't know if Chris Jones just gets an automatic redo because he was the one who kept the OC, who wanted the quarterback, and dug them so deep of a hole that the only time they made the change was when the season was over.
I think if Jones is going to stay, he needs to wear fewer hats. I think he spreads himself too thin. I think he's a good football man. People who know more than I do about the CFL and who've played in that league tell me he's a good man and he's a good coach.
Yeah,
but he has, you can't spread yourself as thin as he has. What I like, whether they make the playoffs or not, we've touched on it before. Tre Ford is worth getting excited about. Brown, I was trying to look up and I ran out of time. The last time Edmonton had a CFL rushing leader. Now, he's not the leader, but he's over 1,000 yards already, and he could take a shot at it. Does it go all the way back to Pringle? I don't know, but it's been a while.
Yeah, Pringle. I know Reggie Taylor the one year way back when, because John Avery, I don't think ever led the league in rushing yard. He might have when he had 1,400. I'll have to look at John Avery, but even Avery was before Mike Pringle. So, and I'm trying to think, did Pringle lead the league in rushing? No, I don't think he did. So I think it's John Avery actually that was the last guy to lead the league in rushing for the Elks.
Well, that's been a while, and little things like that. And I know running backs come and go. The focus is and should be more on Tre Ford because that's the guy who makes things go. This is an exciting young player, and he's not going through seamlessly. There's been stretches where you're going, you see some shortcomings in a decision or a pass that he'd like to have back. But he's got so much physical talent. And let's not forget, Jason, how little he's actually played and how few snaps he's actually taken as a pro from center. Give this guy a little bit of time. Give him some tools to work with, and he's got some in the receiving core. He's got a decent backfield now, and give him an offensive line. Well, I think he could make it a pretty ordinary offensive line look good with the way he gets out of there in a hurry because he can pick him up and put him down. But there's hope here. And would a playoff spot, as long shot as that is, be nice? Would it be fun? Of course it would be for the fans. They've sat around and seen a lot of losing here for a long time. I don't think it matters in the long term, though. If they get on the right track and find a way to stay there, the interest is there now. And that's something that was really waning just a month ago.
Oh, 100%. Robin Bradley joins us on Sports 1440. I'm Jason Gregor. Rubes, to the Oilers season, which of course the first skate will be on Thursday. What's your expectations of like the Oilers? If you actually look at their overall, a lot of people say, oh, the system isn't good. And I would strongly disagree. Their penalty kill has to improve. No question. Yeah. I think they need a little bit more consistent goaltending. Obviously Jack Campbell's numbers need to improve without question. And they just need to limit the major gaffe at times defensively. Do you think the Oilers will make a consistent improvement in their overall defensive play as a group from goaltending, defense to decision-making?
Yeah, I think they will. And we've touched on this too, Jason. A big part of that reason for me is call him the equalizer if you want to borrow a movie title. Matthias Ekholm is a calming influence. He's a veteran. No matter who he plays with, I mean, we know what he did with Bouchard last season. I think he makes them solid. I like Kulak. I think he's an underrated guy. This is a National Hockey League defenseman all day long. And you're not with this group, you're not forcing him to play too high in the order. And that's where he can be fine. You know what they need to do? I don't think it's the system, unless the system is make a major boneheaded play, which ends up in your net, because that's what happened too often with the Oilers that cost them goals. They kept making the big mistake, not the little one, but the one that goes bing bang in the net it goes, and that'll knock you down quicker than anything. I think they'll be fine. I would hope Jack Campbell. I mean, if you look at what Jack Campbell did in his 3 previous years before coming here, I made a note of it. Now, he's not a Vezina guy. I get that. And he certainly wasn't worth the contract he signed, but that doesn't matter out on the ice. But he was a 914, 921, and 915 guy in Toronto. That's no fluke. And last season was a bad season. I think he can be better than that. You can look at statistics that say, oh, he should bounce back and he will bounce back. And there's other statistics that'll say a guy like Stuart Skinner will regress. And maybe that's true. All I know is that Jack Campbell had his worst season in 4 seasons last season. It's a bad time when you got the new deal and the new fans are saying, okay, let's see the new guy. And he's basically been declared your starter. Bad timing, but I don't think this is a bad goaltender. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't expect them to have the inconsistencies and the troubles that they had last year, either Campbell or Skinner. I think they'll both be fine.
Well, they just need to be consistent. Obviously, you would love them to be Vasilevsky good, and if they did, that would be massive. But I don't think they have to be with Edmonton. They just need to be consistent, as does their overall team defense and really their penalty kill. And penalty kill starts with goaltending, and I've outlined it many times. You had basically the same penalty killers when you had Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen. Those guys were like top 10 save percentage over a 3-year span. Both of them. It didn't matter who was in goal, right? With Mike Smith, I think he was 2nd or 3rd, which was very good. And it fulfills the adage that your goaltender has to be your best penalty killer. But that's definitely something that I believe is going to have to improve this coming season. Rubes, have a good one. Go shoot some hoops. Don't break an ankle, and we'll talk to you later this week.
Okay, Jason. Thanks. Talk to you soon. See ya. That's
Robin Brownlee, our Monday and Thursday guest. That was the oil report mixed in with a little Columbus talk, brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton.com. Text line's hopping. We'll get to that. 833-401-1440. We have the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Also, Terry Ryan will be joining us. Andi Petrillo. Mark Spector will go to Vancouver today as we go around the NHL, another preview of another Canadian-based team. That and more on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live on Sports 1440 radio, as well as online on the iHeartRadio app, Stingray app, and live on YouTube, where you can watch it. Hit the subscribe button at Orders Nation YouTube.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Sports betting is now live at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at PlayAlberta.ca.
Full-service provider of heavy haul transportation and rigging at the highest level. Next Gen Transportation.
We're developing new and innovative ways to transport oversized and overweight equipment to remote and challenging locations.
Our Next Gen team leads with a wealth of experience and expertise. But most importantly, we put safety first, so everyone gets home safely.
We also take great pride in supporting our local community programs and teams. Good luck to everyone this season and in the year ahead.
Visit nextgentransportation.com.
One call does it all. Action Electrical is proud to celebrate 50 years of providing complete electrical services and a full circle of care, including projects, service, tag, and energy. From humble beginnings in a small Sherwood Park basement to a family-run business, the Action Electrical stamp can be found on some of the most iconic schools, office buildings, and warehouses across Canada. From conception to completion and beyond, contact
the professionals.
At actionelectrical.net today.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and instant laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at
this weekend, but next Saturday will cost in the 30th inning, as is last week. So you're not more than half light shot, but a little bit of work would help. Sports Central.
A chance of hitting the green with a crescent wrench, you bum.
I don't remember what country he was from, but I believe it was Russia. That's just your warm up. Then you can step up.
I want to jump in. I believe it's 2:30 Pacific time. It'll be 3:30 Mountain time.
We continue on Monday afternoon. Welcome back. Jason Gregor alongside Connor Halley on Sports 1440. Your home for Sports Talk Radio. We'll keep expanding. Got some big news. I don't know the official announcement, but it's coming soon. I like it. I like it a lot. Also, those watching on Oilers Nation YouTube, thank you. Good conversation going on there. If you want to get involved, you can always get involved. You can text us at 833-401-1440 on the show. We'll get to a few of them. Hey, Gregor, I just want to say thanks for not crapping all over Biz Nasty like others did and waiting for everything to come out. I really liked what you said on DFO about all the people who attacked him and why it's hard for abuse survivors to come out. Long story longer. Thanks for having integrity and being a good journalist from Mike. Hey, Mike, I really appreciate that. You know what? I looked back at my comments because I said, hey, as I said, there is a chance that Boone Jenner's comments were accurate, that his interaction with Babcock is exactly what happened, and that Bissonnette's comments about what he did, he being Babcock, were also true. Turns out it's exactly what happened. A wolf in sheep's clothing. He goes to the captain, all nice and jovial, everything's great. That's one person. And so how he interacted with Boone Jenner is that way. There's a reason why people think about it. Like, sadly, we have a history of this. These people, Babcock is an idiot. He's maybe conniving. He's a control freak. A lot of things, but he's not an idiot. So he would know, hey, you know what? Geez, I can't do this with Boone Jenner. I'm going to schmooze Boone Jenner. I'm going to be really nice. Make him want to believe me and trust me. What did Ken Hitchcock always tell us? You need your 6 leaders to be on the same page as you, and then you get things done. So does that. Then goes to the young guys, and he's like, here's where I you know what? For whatever reason, why he has the power trip, I have no idea. I have no clue. Honestly, I don't know. It's hard for me to relate to that because I'm not a power trip guy. I don't like to control things. Now, I don't like people controlling me either, but I definitely don't like to control things, especially in that regard, to control another human being's emotions. Because let's be honest, that's all it is. Asking for the player's phone is a real invasion of privacy, but it's a position of power, right? That's what it is. Nothing more. Like, what could he possibly glean from it? So you show the guy, and maybe he's water skiing, pictures at the beach, he's pictures with his friends, he's golfing, maybe pictures of girls or boys, whatever they're doing. What does that prove to him? All right. All you're doing is putting people on the spot. And like I've said, some pictures are private. What if you're 21, you've had a girlfriend for 3 years, right? Maybe she sent you a picture of her in some lingerie, right? Or your boyfriend, whatever. I don't care. It's none of my business. Right? Why does the coach get to, look at this? Why does he get that right? To even think it's his right is the problem. To even think that you could act, like, imagine, and got to remember, this is like first time meeting the guy. So let's say you get a new job. Your boss just hired you. Had this, you walk in. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Hey, can I see your phone, please? I need to see all your pictures. Pardon? How's that going to make you feel? And I have nothing to hide. That's a bogus argument. It's not about anything you have to hide. It's about his right to get to see it. It's not his property. It's not his business. He doesn't control every aspect of your life. Now, if he says, hey, do you have any pictures of you went to a site and you had to do a site looking, so you need to see the pictures. Hey, here's where we're going to do this or that. Okay, because that's work related. Right? Then you'd say, great, show me the work phone. I'll take you pictures of work stuff on the work phone. Like, I can't believe that there's people defending, well, what's the big deal? But I do find it ironic that most of those people who say that have like some anonymous handle on Twitter. Like, they don't even have the courage to put their real name on their stuff, but then they want to yell at other people for not having the courage to stand up to their boss. So there you go. Let's get to the 2-minute warning. Cam Tate, for those of you if you're just listening to us on the show, Cam Tate joins us every Monday and Friday. Cam Tate's a longtime journalist in town. Cam Tate is in a wheelchair. He has cerebral palsy. And at times it's difficult for him for you to understand what he says. And so he's always wanted to do radio. He's never able to do it. So this is a way for us, a guy who's pretty funny, knows his sports, and he uses a voice box to get his words out. Here's Cam Tate.
We don't need to bring in high-priced sports psychologists or think tanks or proposed university studies for a deep dive into what happened in Columbus and what happened with one Michael Babcock. When news filtered out Sunday, Babcock resigned without even running his first training camp drill with the Blue Jackets there was, and it's still making the water cooler rounds today. Surprise and even some disbelief. After a 3.5-year absence in the National Hockey League coaching tanks, he was gunned by the Maple Leafs. Babcock joined the Blue Jackets on Canada Day. But let's face it, Babcock is the ultimate principle of old school of treating his players. And in today's world of respect and equality, alleged reports of Babcock confiscating players' cell phones to have a look-see at pictures or whatever. Man, that ain't cool. No how, no way, no can do. One wonders, too, if such a thing would even have happened in major junior hockey. I think what Babcock did was an invasion of privacy. More importantly, we must remember Babcock did these alleged things in a professional situation, not out with the boys in the bar showing each other their phones. Babcock is clearly, very clearly out of touch with today in so many ways. It's funny, isn't it? Successful people who have longevity as successful people can change, adjust, and modify with the times, and continue on being successful. Because whether we like it or not, the world is going to be different tomorrow than it is today. It might be majorly different or very minimally different, but there will be change. The key is not only adjusting to it, but accepting it. Mike Babcock failed to do that. It has cost him his hockey coaching career because he will never coach in the NHL again. And if he ever wonders who to blame, he just has to do one thing. Look in the mirror. I'm Big Bad Brian from Emmy Phone Vox Box for Cam Tate's 2-minute warning on the Jason Gregor Show right here on Sports 1440.
Well, there you go. It's true. Just look in the mirror. It's not far. Don't try to deflect anything else. So, Gregor, you just believe anything that's said by Biz Nasty? Where's the actual proof? Yeg buds. Yeg buds, are you not paying attention? Like, honestly. First of all, show me a case where Biz Nasty has lied and made up a report. Do you have any examples of that? That's number one. Okay, we're only talking about this report. Okay? Number two, the NHLPA did an investigation. The Columbus Blue Jackets, after the investigation, determined that, guess what? Babcock can't coach here. Why? Because he misled things. He did things. He abused his power. What are you talking about? Where's the proof? The proof came from the Blue Jackets management press conference, right? Elliot Friedman, many others, Aaron Portzline. How can you say there's no proof? Take your head out of the sand. There's proof there. If you choose not to see it, that's a you problem, not an us problem. It's two very different. Guys, do they still have to pay Babcock from Cheddar? It's a good question, Cheddar. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. My understanding is I don't think it's 100%. I'm not sure how much, if any, but it's not 100% from what I was told by someone a lot closer to it. So try to get that, but yeah, it's not ideal. So. Hey, guys, the deep sigh at the start of Tate's spiel was absolute gold. Yes. I know. I really like the sound effects that Tony comes in. He really captures, I think, how Cam would say it himself. So it's very true. Hey, Gregor, if people claim there's no proof, then why would he resign? There's your answer, Shanzi. Yeah, I would think so. And you know what? It's still amazing how some people, because they believe that Paul Bissonnette made it up at the start, even when you present them with other things, they'll be like, no, I don't believe that. And some people, you can't change their mind. They are going to be steadfast. Right? It's like people who believe that the earth is flat. You have scientific evidence proving otherwise. Nope, it's flat. Sometimes, you can't argue with it. So they'll beat you with experience, right? It's not the best line. Don't argue with an idiot. They'll beat you with experience. So there you go. Sometimes people are just, that's what they're going to do. And it's not going to change. Hopefully and I've said this all along, you need more people like this. I applaud the players for having the courage to stand up. And it's pretty disappointing that people call it a tattletale. What? You have somebody in a massive position of power who has a significant control on your career, and that's how they're treating you on one of your initial interactions with them. What's going to happen down the road? Especially someone who has a track record. Ask Johan Franzen, right? Ask Mike Commodore. Ask Chris Chelios. Go down the list. There's lots. Okay? There's lots. Why do you doubt it? That's what I would ask. Why? Why do you doubt it? Is it because you don't want to think someone can be that ignorant? Don't be afraid of the truth. I think the vast majority of people are good people. But there are some wolves in sheep clothing in different areas, in different walks of life. And we need to be more on the lookout for those. We need to protect the vulnerable. And you might not like, and I can understand if people believe that the Spitting Chicklets podcast is too crass for them. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. But that doesn't mean that Paul Bissonnette's a liar. It's two very different things. You could say, I don't like the tone that they have on their show. Totally valid. This, he was proven, was accurate. And for people that tried to downplay it and believe somebody with a proven track record of trying to manipulate and humiliate his players, I think you need to ask yourself, maybe I need to rethink how I view things. Because to me, that's a bigger issue. Coming up, Terry Ryan will join us. We'll go to Vancouver. Jeff Patterson. We have Andi Petrillo. Of course, it was the inaugural PWHL draft today. Interesting. I was looking at lots of defensemen. Now, this is a unique draft because each team had signed 3 free agents first, kind of some of the stars of the league. And then you had the draft, and the draft included young rookies coming out of college who had never played professionally before, and then lots of professional players. You're never going to have this again, right? It's kind of unique. So, you saw it like Natalie Spooner. I think she went in like the 5th round. Now she's a little bit older, right? So I'm sure that played into it. We'll talk to Andi Petrillo about that and more. But first, let's get to the con man and a Sports Center update brought to you by BIE Engineering, specializing in all your residential, commercial, and industrial structural engineering needs. Go to BIEENG.com.
The Young Stars Classic in Penticton continues on. The Oilers taking on the Canucks right now, currently scoreless. Week 2 in the NFL wraps up tonight as the Panthers host the Saints at 5:15. Then at 6:15, the Browns in Pittsburgh. You can join me at the Spruce Grove Canadian Brewhouse for all the action. The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes have restructured his contract, giving him $210.6 million between 2023 and 2026, the most money in NFL history over a 4-season span. His compensation for those years is guaranteed. The Chiefs and Mahomes plan to revisit the agreement after the 2026 season. And tough news for the Giants as running back Saquon Barkley will miss up to 3 weeks with an ankle sprain. That's per Adam Schefter. Major League Baseball today. One final for you. Royals get past the Guardians 6-4. Still to come, the Mets take on the Marlins. Twins are in Cincinnati. Braves host the Phillies. The Brewers in St. Louis. Rangers taking on the Boston Red Sox. The Orioles head to Houston. Athletics hosting the Mariners. And the Rockies taking on the Padres. Minnesota has selected forward Taylor Heisey with the first overall pick in the inaugural Professional Women's Hockey League draft. You can check out the rest of the draft results on Twitter at the PWHL official. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host Terry Ryan and Canucks beat reporter Jeff Patterson.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Our cars are our lifeline, and every now and then we need to take care of them too. Cochran's Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MPV, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. Beat the heat and let Cochran's Automotive recharge your AC. Call 780-452-5001.
There's 2 seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember, the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
Feel the electric atmosphere and celebrate every Edmonton Oilers home game this season inside Rogers Place. Time is running out. Come be a part of what looks to be a season to remember. Less than 275 season seats remain for the 23-24 Edmonton Oilers season. Hurry to edmontonoilers.com/season seats to get yours before they're gone. Don't miss any historic moments from this incredible lineup. Get your season seats today at edmontonoilers.com/season seats.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
The great off-road is wide open, and the keys to family fun and freedom are waiting at Highline Motorsports. Open yourself to adventure with the country's best ATVs, side-by-sides, and snowmobiles. Whether you're looking for new models or to save on something pre-owned, you'll find what you're looking for from the best brands in motorsports. You'll even find tires, parts, and accessories to make sure the adventure never has to stop. Visit Highline Motorsports, 4715 39th Avenue, Wetaskiwin.
Hey, Alberta drivers, new rules are in place to protect roadside workers. Now, when you see first responders, tow trucks, or highway maintenance vehicles with flashing lights on the side of the road, you must move over if it's safe to do so. If you can't move over, slow down to at least 60 kilometers an hour. Help protect Alberta's roadside workers. It's the law. Learn more at alberta.ca/roadworkersafety. A message from the Government of Alberta.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Jap Machinery. Jap is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their special line of blackout excavators. Visit japmachinery.com for all the details.
Little darling, stir it up.
Rolling through a lovely Monday afternoon. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Declan Cougar running things on the digital side. Oilers Nation YouTube page. It is the Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And we are coming to you live from the E-Well studio. They are your local electrical distributor. Brand new location just off 184th Street in the West End. It's fantastic. And they say stay tuned for an electrifying show that's for sure going to light up your day. EWEL.ca. Like you, they are huge sports fans. We got a lot of texts flying in. 833-401-1440 is the text line number. Save it in your phone. If you're a first-time texter, just put your name, your nickname, your moniker, whatever you want. Put it on there once. We save it. Then I know who I'm talking to, or at least I can address someone in future texts. I feel it improves the communication factor. It's always better, at least in my eyes. Anyway, now let's get to our big guest of the day. It's a regular Monday and Thursday co-host, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Visit hockeysuperleague.ca for more information as we welcome to the show Terry Ryan, of course, former NHLer, star of one of the stars in Shoresy, also stuntman. Hey, TR, good to see you again, buddy. How'd the stunt go on Friday? I don't see any bruises, so you should be all right.
Yeah. It went all right. Yeah. I did bang my knee a little, but nothing more than a small bruise that lasted a couple days. It was an experience. It's the first stunt I did quite like that. I had to fly through the air on a harness after a building behind me blew up, one of those.
Yeah.
It was interesting to say the least. And I'm not the best with heights, but I was fine with this.
Oh, so now when you say heights, what are we talking? Like anything after like 12 feet, you're nervous? Is it like where does your height phobia kick in?
Oh boy. Well, in Dallas Stars camp once, this is also in my first book I'll have to get for you. I know you read the second, not the first. So one of the things we did was team building, and we had to walk up to like the top of telephone poles, and they were connected then different ways. First pole to the second was exactly what it sounded like, a telephone pole, like connected them. And then after that was a swaying bar. After that was like a tightrope. So there was different obstacles up in the air.
Okay.
And I told them I couldn't do it. And it was after I fought, I think I told you, John Erskine 6 times in one day. So it's not that I wasn't there really. It was my last shot. It was that's where I ended up hurting my ankle. But that's another story. It was my last shot at making the NHL. And I was serious about it. I went there and I would have taken on all comers. And I remember going, oh God, like, because I couldn't do the team building. I said, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I'll fight the toughest guy. I will run through the boards. I will block shots, whatever. But I did not see tight roping as one of the, qualifications there. So anyway, this group took us out. And sure enough, I went, 47 other people went. And then I had to go last. I went last, Jason. I got to the top. And I don't know how I got through that first obstacle, but I started hyperventilating. I started crying. I couldn't do anything about it. I hung on to the pole at the end of the first link, and a girl had to come and rescue me that worked there and like carried me down to the ground. I remember Bob Gainey, who was there. He was the GM, and for some reason, he was at the building. I know it sounds odd, but I got witnesses here. And he said, don't worry, Terry, nothing's going to happen. And I said, well, Bob, why the F am I wearing a helmet? So anyway, that's where my head was. And I went down there to try out for this team. I thought I had a decent tryout, but not that I got cut for that reason. It was just a story that happened along the way. But, I ruined the team building, yet I had a broken nose and 2 black eyes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I'm curious, did you fall from a height? Or I'm always curious about what starts the fear of heights. Is it just something that, you got dropped as a young kid from somewhere, you fell out of something, you're just like, I'm never doing it? Do you have any idea where it came from?
No, I don't. I suppose a good bout of therapy would probably help that, but no, it's brutal. I sometimes test it, but I went up in the CN Tower before. I just and people walk on the glass up there. Yeah. I don't know how. I got to get down like on all fours. I start sweating. It's really, really bad.
That's fair, man. There's lots of people texted in that have a fear of heights, and people have like it's a weird. I never mock anybody when they have a fear of something, because it's like I hate onions. It's not a fear. I just hate onions, and I won't eat onions. Now, I shouldn't say I won't. My wife she'll mince them up sometimes, and if I don't see it, I'm fine. But anytime I see an onion, I'm like, no, I'll just politely pick it out of my spaghetti sauce or wherever it is. It's no big deal. But like I've seen people have like real fears of certain things. Like one of my friends had a fear of spiders, and I was like, what are you talking about? But like I'm talking like scared to and this person was like 6'1", 210. He wasn't scared of it physically hurting. He just couldn't get past it. And I was always like, I remember being 19 and being like, I can't really mock this, because like this is a legit thing. Like it's like, maybe we make a little comment about it here or there, but and he didn't like it, but he never got over it.
Well, I'll tell you this. When you go through so many games in pro, I can't remember what the deal was, but when I retired, one of the things that a lot of pro hockey players are encouraged to do is firefighting school. And a lot of it was paid for. It must have been through, obviously through the PA, but I can't remember if it was the NHL or PHPA, but there's people out there that know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I took advantage of this program and I went to it. And I would have loved to be a firefighter. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, but I would have loved that. And I just couldn't. I remember I got 2 months in, Jason. I was 2 months into the program, and I was up and we had to rappel down this huge, building, for lack of a better way to put it. We had to rappel down, like we had to go like maybe 10 floors up. And I came out, the same thing. I remember going like, I'll just make myself do it. Like I'll just, like I went out and made myself fight Ty Domi. I mean that, right? Like there was some level of courage there that I'm like, okay, screw it. I'll take punches. This is good. This would put fear into most people, but I'll do it, But so I had the same attitude. I went up there thinking, I'm going to do this. Like this is my livelihood, my future children. I didn't have a kid then. And I just couldn't do it. I started the same thing, hyperventilating and breathing heavy. And like I almost pass out. So there's really, like you said, it's an innate fear that I don't know if it's genetic or something happened when I was younger, but it's there.
It's there. Now, team building, there's some of them that guys love, and, there's some that are maybe a little bit, outside their comfort zone, maybe not a fear thing. But then you have, and I'm sure you're up to speed on what happened in Columbus, Terry. And I know that, when you were younger, like, hey, things were different then. In society, things were different. Now, I think we're a little bit more educated on how we should treat people for the most part. We're not perfect by any stretch, but I think we've improved in certain areas. We might have gone too far in some things as well, but I think for the most part, we have a better understanding of human interaction. The allegations against Babcock were, and I give the PA credit because they actually did a thorough investigation. It led to Babcock no longer being the head coach in Columbus. I'm curious now, what do you think the players do to get over this as a team? Like to ensure that because you don't want someone to be like, oh, you were the one who had I would hope there's none of it. Well, geez, player, you should have just sucked it up and listened to the coach and not worried about it. Because to me, it's a gross abuse of power by a coach and trying to play mind games with players where he controls their future. Like young guys come into the league, you're like, oh, yes, sir, no, sir, to the coach, because he really can control whether or not you make it. And so I applaud the decision by the PA and what their investigation found. But what do you think's the next step as a group? Like, what's Boone Jenner? I'm not blaming Boone Jenner because maybe he didn't know. But how do you think you try to unify your group moving forward?
Well, I remember Saku Koivu. I mean, I was young with Saku when he came in. I think he's 2 or 3 years older than me, but I was there as he was a rookie. Like I said, I was 19 and I stayed there most of the year. I only got in 4 games, but the point was to practice and learn from the older guys. So really I was a sponge. And I do remember, I knew he would be captain at some point, but this was way before that. He might've been a rookie or his second year, but I remember him saying, we're going through a hard time, and he was young, but the way he worded it, he said, look, it's how we harness this energy. We can either, something had happened, we can either go forward and use this as a negative or a positive. And I think if Boone Jenner is anything of a captain, even remotely close to the kind of one Saku was, I think that's what he does, and they do, Gaudreau and company. I think you can harness that energy the right way, and I think you can come in strong. Like a little bit of adversity is a good thing, again, if you harness the energy in a positive way and use it to your advantage. This early is a little odd, but it also could really help. They're going to have to really come together. Game 1, this team has already faced something that most teams don't face, some teams all year. By Christmas, I don't know, you're usually well into the year before anything like this happens. That's not I don't just mean with a coach. I mean, they can be so distracting overall, and somebody gets fired or somebody gets traded. That happened right off the bat before they even went to the ice. So who knows? Maybe it makes them closer, which could be a good thing.
I want to get your thoughts on this year. There's an incredibly high number of PTOs given out to lots of teams. Geez, Carolina's got 5 guys on PTOs, which is crazy. Now, some of them are more like AHL guys anyway, but still, Edmonton has 3. You go to camp on a PTO, you haven't made the team yet, right? Like you're in a massive fight against some guys on contract, so you really got to stand out. How many of these PTO guys, realistically is it, and what's the biggest mental hurdle to overcome when you're on a PTO, do you think?
That's a great question. What's the biggest mental hurdle? Well, it's unique because a lot of the guys on the PTOs are experienced. So it's not the same, as you said, there's mental hurdles, but it's not the same as when you come in and you're 18, 19, even 23, even a Desharnais now, say, who's got a little bit of experience, but is not guaranteed. So there's ways that you overcome it. I would think that all of these players, most of them that come in, they're confident, they're super confident, right? And they understand the situation, but I think the confidence would be there. They know that they've got to get a bit of a bounce, but they're also, if they do a good job, word could get out. In my mind, it would be, I'm generally coming in here to prove that I can still do something. And if Corey Perry and company haven't proven in the last few years that older guys can still give something, and there's been, Chicago just surrounded with Bedard with some decent older players, right? There is a spot for them. So I would think, for example, let's say either Gagne or Sutter make the team in Edmonton. Right? The other, I'm just assuming, okay, let's just say one makes it hypothetically. The other, I think if they do a good job, it will be noticed by many respected NHL players, coaches, brass. So, I think they're not only trying out for the team, they're still trying to prove that they can play and word could get out.
Yeah, well, the advantage is Edmonton's a really good team. Most people will have Edmonton as a top 6 team in the NHL. And so not making that roster doesn't mean you can't help a bottom 10 team, right? The rosters are very different. Oiler fans listening right now can attest. Look at the Oilers roster now and then go back and look at the Oilers roster 10 years ago, and you'll see a significant difference all across the board as far as the level of talent you have. So, you know what? There are some guys who you can look and say, hey, I might not be able to crack the lineup in Edmonton, but I probably could help Anaheim. Maybe I can help another team. Now, does that organization want a veteran? Do they want to go all with young guys? Do they want a tank? Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, you're right. I think it's a big one. So I'll be watching closely because it's a big internal battle. Ernie, Gagne, Sutter. I kind of rank them in order there, 3, 2, 1. I think Sutter has the best chance because he's a right shot, 6'3" center who can win faceoffs. The question is, how is his body going to hang up after a long-term COVID? I don't know. But all the other intangibles seem to point to give him the advantage because Edmonton could really use a right shot center.
I totally agree. I find it interesting. I always find this time of year interesting for that reason. And to your point, these players, I don't know how many offers they have, but they chose to go to Edmonton. Right. So there's a reason. So clearly they still have confidence. You wouldn't pick Edmonton of all teams. If I'm a free agent, I don't know. And I'm not really sure I'm confident in myself. Well, to a point, am I going to pick the Edmonton Oilers where most spots are obviously taken no matter what I do? Right. There's so many other options. Yeah. So specifically the team that these guys picked and a few more, there's reason for me to believe, A, they're super confident. But and I also think there is a place for them in the league. They just, they're shooting for the stars. Why not?
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440. You can text us in our Jiffy Lube inbox, 833-401-1440. When we return, we'll go to the West Coast. The Vancouver Canucks. Demko, I assume, is going to play more than 32 games. We assume for the third consecutive year, they won't fire their head coach during the season. How much could the Vancouver Canucks improve? We'll find out next. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high, it's far, it is gone! Walk-off home run!
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done, and then some, at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit edmontonkubota.com. A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Andy Akel at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Come into Jiffy Lube for a Pennzoil Platinum full synthetic oil change and receive a $20 digital gift card to one of over 30 merchants, such as Cineplex or Bass Pro Shops. For a location near you, visit jiffylubeservice.ca. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
There's two seasons in Alberta, winter and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember, the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton. When it comes to your canola fields, yield is one of your top priorities. To help you maximize it, Invigor Hybrid Canola from BASF offers a full lineup of high-performing hybrids. And new for 2024, every one includes our patented pod shatter reduction technology for unmatched harvest flexibility and exceptional results, which helps take care of your priorities outside the field. Daddy! Talk to your retailer early to book your Invigor seed.
Wasting another night on planning my revenge. 1 in 10. 1 in 10. 1 in 10. Don't wanna be a monkey wrench.
You on Sports 1440. Stream us online, sports1440.ca. Maybe you're watching on YouTube, on Orders Nation. You got any of the apps, Stingray, iHeartRadio player. There is lots of places for you to consume the show, and we love it. It's always brought to you by playalberta.ca. You can text us 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox, and it's time now for us to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And now, for a limited time, you can enjoy the Mighty McMuffin or the Mighty McGriddle breakfast sandwiches made with bacon, egg, sausage, and cheese on a McGriddle or a McMuffin, only at McDonald's. And of course, medicals for NHL veterans will be on Wednesday, and then on-ice sessions will be Thursday. The first preseason game in the NHL is Saturday. The Edmonton Oilers' first preseason game will be on Sunday against the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, later on, they'll play the Vancouver Canucks, and that's where we're going today. We stop in Vancouver, a team that is obviously looking to improve. From the rink side, Jeff Patterson joins us once again. Jeff, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Gregor. Congrats on the gig. First time with you here in this format and on this frequency. And I just want to say, Terry, there was a time in my life way back when I called Kamloops Blazers games, and I watched you terrorize Western Hockey League goaltenders as a Tri-City American 50-goal season. In fact, I believe the first year I was doing radio, you were lighting the lamp all the time in the WHL. So good to be on with you as well.
It's great to hear from you again. I do remember that. I didn't realize it was your first year, though, but of course I remember. Yeah, that's wild.
Awesome. Well, you know what, Jeff? The Canucks, they're hoping that they don't repeat the fact that they have to change coaches again during the season. They obviously want Demko to be healthy. Only played 32 games. Like that in itself, if Demko's up to 55 games, I think right there should, in theory, give him another, minimum 8 to 10 points and put them right in the playoff hunt. Then you throw in some other things about their team. Like I look at Vancouver and I see them poised to be a legit playoff contender. You're a lot closer to the team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Demko got hurt on December the 1st and was out for 3 months, and then he came back and they played the wheels off him down the stretch when the games didn't matter, and everybody out here wanted them to be in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, but they made the decision they made to bring Rick Tocchet in mid-January. He got those 36 games, and the thinking then was give him a run to establish his systems and his style, And the payoff will come this week starting in Victoria, and that's where they're holding training camp, so that they'll hit the ground running and understand what Rick Tockett's looking for. And look, they played well under Tocchet, and a lot of it was that they got some stability in goal with Demko back. And Thatcher Demko was a huge part, because it wasn't just the 32 games that he was limited to. He won 14 games. So you're right. I think I could make you a pretty convincing argument that if they needed 6 or 7 more wins to be a playoff team, that Thatcher Demko, a healthy Thatcher Demko playing like he did, particularly 2 seasons ago, he's going to be the backbone. But you also saw Elias Pettersson had 102 points last year. Quinn Hughes tied for second in scoring behind Erik Karlsson among all NHL defensemen. None of that mattered ultimately, because the Canucks were still a dozen points out of the playoffs. So, they need their top end guys going, but they got to support those top end guys. And people in Edmonton have watched that and lived through that as well, that you can have 1 or 2 or 3 of the best players in the league. That doesn't matter. It's a team game. And ultimately, to be a playoff team, you have to have a supporting cast. So they didn't have a lot of money to spend in the offseason, but I do think they spent wisely. They targeted beefing up their defense. Carson Soucy, Ian Cole is a veteran who has, just managed to stay in this league because he's solid, he's effective, pretty low maintenance, and he played in Pittsburgh when Rick Tocchet was an assistant there. In fact, they won cups together. So, I think there was some interest in Ian Cole right from the moment free agency opened. And then up front, on July 1st, they brought in Teddy Bluger. And then later in the summer, P.S. Suter was out there on the market, and the Canucks were willing to go a second year and got him at a rather affordable ticket. And so I think he upgrades the third line center position, but ultimately it's defensively. I mean, they were just giving up way too much last year, particularly the penalty kill guys. 32nd in the league on the penalty kill last year. There's only 32 teams, but the year before that, they were 31st. Like, the penalty kill sunk them on so many nights, particularly early in the season. And so Cole did a lot of penalty killing in Tampa, even on a team that had Victor Hedman and Sergachev. He and Eric Chernak were generally the first pair over the boards to penalty kill. Carson Soucy has done some of that. And then the guys that I mentioned, Pius Suter and Teddy Bluger, they were targeted as penalty killers. And they think that's an area that they can, I don't know if they'll make it a strength, but if they could even get anywhere close to league average, I mean, that would be a quantum leap when you are dead last and have a penalty kill that was running sub 70% for most of the season. And of course, the kicker in all of this is they open not once, but twice against the Oilers and that power play. So we're not going to have to wait too long to find out if they truly have upgraded in that area of the game.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough test to open up as far as a penalty kill unit goes. Speaking of their defense, Oliver Ekman-Larsson's gone. Ethan Bear was acquired last year. He's not signed right now. He's not healthy enough to play. You mentioned Soucy and Cole. They made a few other changes there. What do you see as their top 4 pairings to start? And do you think overall 1 through 6, their defense is good enough to be a playoff team?
Well, the forgotten guy in all of this is Filip Hronek, right? And they paid a pretty price to get him after they traded Bo Horvat away. They took the assets and they flipped them to Detroit, and they had been looking for, a top 4 right shot guy. And we know that they're hard to find. It's a premium position. You have to pay to get them. And so they like Filip Hronek. He played 4 games for them after the trade because he was having some shoulder issues, and they just decided to shut him down. So everybody looks at what they did in free agency, but I sort of lump Filip Hronek in there as well because he's like the Christmas gift you got, but you weren't allowed to open until training camp, essentially. And so they're high on Hronek, and they do think that he's going to play and play a lot. I think he and Quinn Hughes will be separated to try to spread whatever depth they've got on the back end. So it's likely that Hughes and one of Cole or Soucy will be a pair. And both of those guys that I mentioned, well, 3 of them are lefties. So one of them's going to have to play on their offside, probably Cole, because he's done that throughout his time in the NHL. And then that would leave Soucy and Filip Hronek to be a second pair. And then you got $6 million Tyler Myers into the final year of his contract. But it looks like at this stage of his career, he's probably going to be a third pairing guy and probably at 5-on-5 only. Like, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of special teams time for him. And of course, the story with Myers is that he had this $5 million bonus paid out earlier this week. So there's only a dollar. It feels like a dollar in NHL terms, but $1 million left on his contract. So eminently tradable at some point. The question is, do they start the year and run with him for a while and see if there's a market for an experienced right shot guy with size closer to the deadline, or do they try to move off that contract to open up spots for other players? You mentioned Ethan Bear, not under contract, but rehabbing from shoulder surgery. I think Bear wants to be a Canuck again. And so there is a world in which they could move Tyler Myers when Ethan Bear gets the green light medically to resume playing again. So, there's a lot of balls in play here. And then the left side of the third pair, that's a derby. I think they want to integrate some youth into that position, and they've got some young guys and some candidates. And, we'll see how it all plays out. That's what camp and the preseason is for. But when you think of all of the moving parts and all of the pieces and all of Ekman Larsson on the ticket he was on last year, and basically was a replacement level player, they do think that they have upgraded their defense. But at the same time, a guy like Carson Soucy, perfectly slotted as a third pair guy in Seattle. And we see this time and time again. Teams see that and they fall in love with a player and think that he's ready to take on more. Question is he, or is he what he was in Seattle? And that's just a really good third pair guy.
Jeff, Elias Pettersson, early in his career, thought he was magical at points, but it was littered with inconsistencies. The last couple of years has been different, especially last year. I thought he looked very confident. He looked like a leader, but then again, I'm on the other side of the country watching on TV. What has been the biggest difference in your eyes, seeing it up close?
He's just a really smart hockey player. And I think people jump at the 102 points. And, well, I mean, anytime you're a 100-point player in the National Hockey League, nothing to sneeze at. But it's the way he's rounded out his game. It's his two-way game. I mean, he's started to get into the Selke discussion. And I do think that that's sort of the way that his career is headed, that, and he's playing in the era of McDavid, Draisaitl, and McKinnon. I don't think he's going to win scoring titles, but I do think that he could become one of the best two-way players in the National Hockey League, starting to take on more matchups, holding his own there. And he's just so smart and has the puck skills. And, a great combination last year with Andrei Kuzmenko. And, at this time last year, Kuzmenko was an absolute wild card coming from the KHL, conditioning issues. We saw them at training camp last year. But he got all that worked out. He apparently has had an incredible summer of training, and Rick Tocchet kind of laid down the law to all these guys to be in the best shape ever. And it certainly sounds like a lot of them took that to heart, and they're ready for a tough Tocchet training camp. But Pettersson and Kuzmenko, pretty dynamic duo. Not at the level of McDavid and Draisaitl, obviously, but Kuzmenko with 39 goals. The question is, can he come anywhere close to repeating that with the highest shooting percentage in modern league history? And I just think practical thought is that no, there's going to be some regression there, and the 39 is probably going to be difficult for him to repeat. But at the same time, he's on the top unit power play. If he's playing alongside Pettersson all season and Pettersson continues to evolve and grow in his game, then Kuzmenko is going to get his opportunities and he's going to get his goals. So I do think that there will be a step back, but I could easily see Kuzmenko being a 30 to 35 goal scorer instead of a 39 to 40 goal scorer. There's a lot of value in that. $5.5 million. It's a pretty affordable ticket for a guy that's producing at that rate. But then there's a question of who's on the other side on that line. And the Canucks have so many wingers in camp and on the roster and on NHL contracts, but so many guys that have underperformed or haven't lived up to expectations. Anthony Beauvillier, the guy they got in the return for the Horvat deal, he got a chance to start in that top line last year and didn't really do an awful lot with it. It's a contract year for him, so we'll see how that factors in. Brock Besser and Connor Garland, I mean, their names have been out there in trade talk forever, and yet they're still on the roster, and doesn't feel like there's any takers around the National Hockey League, or at least there hasn't been to this point. But can they help the Canucks? Tanner Pearson got hurt in November, had the hand injury that became an infection, and there was questions about whether his career was in jeopardy. But he's been back skating here for a couple of weeks and looks the part of an NHLer again, so we'll see where he fits. The question mark, guys, is Ilya Mikheyev, who got shut down in January, had ACL surgery, and it doesn't sound like he's going to be ready for the start of training camp. And I think they were banking on it, but anybody that's gone through that sort of procedure, I mean, we're talking about an elite level athlete and a guy whose calling card is speed. And if the wheels aren't fully ready, then he can't be anywhere close to his best. So now there's some talk. Is he going to start the season on LTIR? Is that how they're going to get cap compliant? Because that's another issue for the hockey club here. So we should get some answers on Mikheyev here in the next couple of days when they do their pre-camp media, or, is he going to be on the ice on day one over in Victoria on Thursday? I guess we'll find out here later in the week.
Jeff Patterson joins us from Rink Wide Report in Vancouver. The Canucks, like the Oilers, will have medicals on Wednesday, and then we'll be on the ice on Thursday. Are there any players that you think can be surprise guys to make this team?
Yeah, I think there are a few who have made this team in the past. Nils Höglander broke into the National Hockey League as a 20-year-old in that All-Canadian division and was a revelation on a second line with Horvat and Pearson at the time. And this guy, he's undersized, but the motor is always going, and he wins puck battles, and he had a great rookie season and then took a massive step backwards. I just don't think Bruce Boudreau ever quite felt comfortable with him. It just didn't click, and sometimes that happens. And so Höglander was sent to the American Hockey League. Good attitude, went down to Abbotsford last year and did what he could and had a nice playoff run as well as they got into the second round there. So that's a guy to keep an eye on. He's only 22. And it's incredible to think that in his time in the Canucks organization, he has played for 3 NHL head coaches and 2 AHL head coaches. That's a lot of voices in a young guy's head coming over from Sweden and trying to adjust and everything else. So, I keep an eye on Höglander. Because he only has 2 more games left of waiver eligibility, and that factors into all of this as well. And if he doesn't make the team out of camp, do they send him down right away? Do they try to trade him? Vasily Podkolzin was the 10th overall pick in 2019, the draft here in Vancouver, and it just hasn't happened for him yet. A guy like Matt Boldy was taking 2 picks after him, and Boldy's become a star in this league already and a legitimate goal scorer. And Podkolzin, he's a big body, but just hasn't found his way. But I say that he had 14 goals as a rookie, and there was some real hope that, he was going to take another step. And again, he got sent down to the minors last year. So those are 2 guys certainly that I would keep an eye on to see, what kind of off seasons have they had? How do they hit the ground as far as camp is concerned, trying to make an impression on a new head coach here. So those are guys. And then, a long shot, I think, although he's had a nice couple of games in Penticton as one of their young stars, but he's 24 and he played in the NHL at the end last year. Aidan McDonough was a draft pick. They signed him out of Northeastern, came in, got a goal in the 5 or 6 games that he played at the tail end of last season. This is a big kid that big time shot, and we saw that at Young Stars over the weekend as well. I think he's destined for the American Hockey League, but just keep an eye on the name or ear out for the name Aidan McDonough, because he will play for the Vancouver Canucks again. I just don't know if it's going to happen out of training camp this year.
Jeff, great stuff, man. And quickly, what about Mikheyev? Is he going to be ready to start the year?
That's the question, and we're going to find out this week. But his agent said, hopefully, which raised some red flags here in Vancouver, that if the agent isn't certain, then the agent should have a pretty good idea of his client and his readiness to go. But the Canucks, they're not a particularly fast team, and they could absolutely use his speed. But again, ACL surgery in February of this year. So, it's been 9 months, and there are a lot of guys that will tell you it takes really almost 2 full years before they feel that they're back to 100%. So they're not going to rush him, but I'm not sure that he's going to be ready to go here on day one.
Jeff, great to catch up with you again, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate your time.
Look forward to it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
See you again, Jeff.
That is Jeff Patterson from Rink Wide in Vancouver. I think the Canucks are going to be improved, Terry. Patterson, Hughes. I think Brock Besser should hopefully have a better season for them. It'll come down to their defense, but the biggest one for them is if Thatcher Demko is healthy. He's not just only going to win 14 games. There's a chance he'll improve their team significantly just by being healthy.
They're in tough in that division, though, I think.
Yeah, you know what, though? I look at Seattle. Seattle's a team that I think is going to be in tough again. I think one of Calgary, Vancouver can catch them. And then LA's goaltending will be the wild card for them. Edmonton and Vegas, I think, are the top 2 teams. But, 3, 4, and 5, I would give LA the favorite to start. But it all depends on their goaltending. And I think Calgary and Vancouver both are poised to improve because their goaltending last year was not very good. And I expect Markstrom and Demko to be better. And, if you got goaltending, you got a shot.
No doubt. And I picked up on that. He said Tocchet had them all going. I mean, everybody's got to be in shape now. But when it's Rick Tocchet telling you that, and it seemed like, Quinn Hughes just got the captain. Now there's a clear new path, a little bit of positive energy. Because in the end, I thought they underachieved anyway. I mean, they weren't very good. They haven't been great for a while. But there was an air of underachievement. I think anybody that's followed them at all realizes that they could have been a little bit better. Now, Demko last year was a big reason. But still, there's lots of reasons all over the league. They've got as good a shot as anybody to be very improved.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440. When we come back, Ryan's rant. What will it be about? Find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It's time to gear up for fall at Wolf GMC Buick, but there's a catch. We'll get to that. You're not going to pay high rates like 6.9%. You'll pay 0% financing on all in-stock GMC Sierra Half-Ton Pro Editions, and that's for 60 months. You'll also save $750 if you're a Costco member. 0% financing for 60 months on all in-stock GMC Sierra Half-Ton Pro Editions. The catch? You'll need to get here ASAP because inventory is cruising off the lot pretty quickly. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is sounding the call. Don't struggle through winter with a furnace you can't trust. For maintenance before winter strikes,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For furnace tune-ups and repairs to give peace of mind.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or to scrap your old furnace for a brand new high-efficiency one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your new furnace, it's gotta be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
No project too difficult. No problem too complex for Action Electrical. Edmonton's leading electrical contractor is a family-run business since 1973 and proud to offer complete commercial electrical services of the highest quality. When you need a contractor to design, build, implement, and maintain complex systems or emergency electrical assistance, help is here with the professionals. Book a service call at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
How do we do it? Well, at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we invest. Our money and time goes right back into technology and training, and it's all designed to get you back into shape. We invest in people, the people who really care, and they understand how your body works. Then they combine their experience, training, and skills to work with you to help you solve your issues, be it pain in the back, neck, arm, shoulder, heel, literally head to toe. Leading Edge Physiotherapy, always taking new patients because we keep fixing the old ones. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Denim Ford's roots run deep in the history of Central Alberta. Like always, you can experience the same honest pricing and honest service that you've come to expect from all of us at Denim Ford for the past 65 years. Denim Ford is proud to be Canada's only 50-time President Award-winning dealership in customer satisfaction, treating every customer like family. Visit Denim Ford on the world-famous Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or from home at denimford.ca.
Cars cost less than Wetaskiwin. Weiss Johnson, whoa!
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. Can you believe that fall is just around the corner? With that in mind, we are offering free furnace upgrades from Daikin, should you be looking to get a new furnace. This means getting a better model of furnace that provides you greater comfort at a lower price point. Plus, Daikin has the best warranty in the business. There's never a better time to get a new Daikin furnace from Weiss Johnson. We know how important a furnace is in winter in Edmonton, so don't procrastinate as this is a limited time offer. Visit wjheats.com today.
The faster we're falling, we're stopping and stalling, we're running in circles again. Just as things were looking up, you said it wasn't good enough, but still we're trying one more time. Maybe we're just trying too hard, when really it's closer than it is too far. 'Cause I'm in too deep and I'm trying to keep up.
Monday afternoon, rolling through a double dip of Monday Nighter. Tonight, Connor Halley will be busy out at the Canadian Brew House in Spruce Grove. So stop in, say hi to the con man. Yeah, he needs a little boost. Tough start for the Chargers so far this season. Even the Giants have a better record than the Chargers. Connor's like, he might have to take the day off tomorrow. I'm not sure if he wants to listen to Struddy about that one. So we'll see, con man. It's been a tough start. Like how many games can they be? Oh, it's 3 minutes left, or they're down by 3 with 5 minutes to go. It's like a just rinse, wash, repeat for those guys. So we'll see. Let's get to Ryan's rant now, brought to you by Action Electrical. Full circle approach has been the electrical contractor of choice in Edmonton for 50 years. No project is too big. No problem is too complex. ActionElectrical.net, and it's time for Ryan's rant with Terry Ryan.
Well, thank you for that. Jason, by the way, were you waiting for me to comment there? Connor came into my screen and out. I thought I was kind of waiting for him to talk.
It's all good, buddy. It's all good.
Were you queuing me up a second ago?
We were just ignoring you, and we were waiting to Connor and then just setting you up so you could have all of your energy.
Good. Have I ever told you I like to go to movies on my own?
No.
I love to. It's one of the things that I like to do solo. Take some, and I mean, especially since this age of phones and social media, because it feels like a bit of a vacation. So I had it some time in the afternoon, which is rare. So I'm very busy, or my daughter's busy, one or the other. Got to work, or I've got ball hockey, or she's got soccer, or there's something going on. So I enjoy sometimes, especially, well, I like to go to a movie, but especially in the afternoon. So I got some time, 4 or 5 hours to myself, so I can go out and turn my phone off. You know, I love that feeling of, it's like I'm on vacation, just toning out, radio silent. I'm out. I'm in a movie theater by myself. No one can find me. Perfect. I get some popcorn. I go in and sit down. Now I'm pretty early because I like to play the trivia on the screen. So I get in there, and a couple comes in behind me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, they came in right behind me, and I'm there 25 minutes early. So I know that because I had to pick my seats. So I know that they pick seats. So anyway, the guy sits right next to me, and the girl sits 2 seats away. Okay. So now I don't know how many people are in this. I'm going to guess 400 seats in the theater. Let's just say. Well, there's probably 10 people so far. It's real early, but I just found it curious that they would buy a seat right next to me. You know what I mean? So that's faux pas number 1. So now the guy sits down, and he starts asking me about the Canadians this year and what I think their chances are. So I'm like, he probably recognized me and wants to have a conversation. Fair enough. But I would have done that anyway. It's a half hour before the thing starts. Now I'm there to get some time to myself, and I find I'm analyzing the game with some guy who's sitting right next to me, like my leg is touching his, which is weird anyway. Okay. So now, on top of this couple sitting right next to me, the lady, who I thought when came in was pregnant because it appeared that way, but when she comes out of the shade, I realized that she's holding one of those frontal baby carriers, and it's the baby there. It's an infant. So they took an infant into the movie, by the way, was A Haunting in Venice. So what they're doing with an infant can't comprehend what the Teletubbies are, let alone Ken Branagh and, you know, some movie about a thriller horror picture that happens in Italy, right? So as we're talking about the Canadians' power play, I'm thinking, how can I get out of this conversation? The baby starts crying. Now it starts filling up a little bit, but I'm like, the odds are I can probably go to another seat, right? I can probably go to another seat and it be open. So I try that. And I'm like, I'm just going to go out, act like I'm going to get a pop or something, which I did, come back, sit somewhere else. So I did that anyway. I happen to be sitting in somebody's seat, so they kicked me back to my original seat. So now I'm kind of embarrassed, and I'm sitting next to this couple, but the baby starts crying, and the guy says, don't worry. Now the movie has started now. The baby starts crying, and the guy says, no, don't worry. It's teething. And I'm like, well, I'm not really worried about your kid teething. What I'm worried about is my enjoyment for the show and everybody else's that's around. Starting to fill up a bit. So anyway, or I guess it's filled up at that point. The movie's just starting. So now she whips out her breast and starts breastfeeding it. Okay? Him, whatever, the kid. I don't know the kid's name. So now I'm at the movie. I want to be alone. The reason I'm there is just to tune out. And this guy during the previews is still talking about the Habs' chances. She's got her breast out, breastfeeding a baby that's being very loud about slurping and crying at the same time. But I'm not going to be worried because he's teething and the movie's starting. And I'm going, I look over and I didn't want to be ignorant, but I just said, dude, like, just have some sense of self-awareness, right? Like, just have some sense. I'm sorry, but I'm going to change seats. I'm sure you can understand why. So I changed seats, and then I'm sitting in somebody's seat again, and they came and anyway, I got up and I just went out and got my money back and left. Now, what's the rant about? Well, first of all, I think it's weird to sit right next to somebody at a movie theater, okay? Second of all, I think it's doubly weird to whip out your breast, and I know there's going to be parental groups that give me crap for this. I'm not saying that everybody does not equal and have a rights, and let's be respectful, right? I don't take out my cell phone at a wedding or a funeral, right? Don't bring your crying toddler or infant who has no idea what's happening, who can barely understand what a color is, to a movie that requires some level of focus. And don't be bringing a baby into a movie theater. I mean, just depending on what it is, but the vast majority of the time, it's just an ignorant move.
But you know what's interesting? In Edmonton, we learned this and actually when my son, Castrati was the one who told me, they used to have movie theaters specifically so you could bring your child in. It happened during the day, right? So you'd want to get out of your house. You're like, hey, parents, we get you're stressed out. So you bring your toddlers, and everybody in the theater has one. So they understand if little Jimmy or little Jenny starts crying, then they're okay with it because I'm going into the theater expecting that to occur. When I go to see, a horror in Venice, I can't remember the name of the movie, I'm not expecting to have a teething toddler crying during the movie. I think this is legit. I think there has to be certain places where you say, you know what? I'm not going. Like, I remember when our son was younger and my wife and I, okay, we're going to go out. I'd be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to go out to a super nice place because I think those people, they want to be out for dinner. That maybe they want to get away from their kids. And we all love our kids, don't get me wrong. But any parent can test. Sometimes if you're out for dinner, the last thing you want to do is be like, oh my gosh, there's 3 kids that are squirming and crawling all over the place. You're like, that's why we're out for dinner. We just want a reprieve from the insanity for a short period of time. So, dude, but I will say the one tip I would have done different if I was you. Once the guy started chatting, I see the baby. I'm like, okay, this is not where I'm sitting. I would have walked out, and then I would have stayed outside of the movie theater until the previews, because the vast majority of people will come in when the previews. Because then I could walk in comfortably and be like, okay, I think I got a good chance here. I'm going to go sit somewhere where there's 4 seats. And if someone comes in and said, you know what, buddy, somebody showed up with their baby, so I moved seats. If you want to sit here, but I'm just going to sit one over from you, or I'm going to sit behind, I would explain why, because most people would be like, oh, I get why you moved. So that was the only thing that I would change, is I would wait until the previews were on, because then I think 80% of people are in their seats.
That is a good point. That is a good point. I just, it's hard for me to, of all of them, like, that really, really bothers me, because I can see on a plane, it's annoying on a plane, but you got to do it. Like,
you got to do it because I got to fly. I get it. Yes.
Just opting to go in. And what's worse is that the guy seemed like a nice guy. I mean, I don't mind talking hockey. I'd rather do it in public than answer my DMs and look down and be on the phone all day. I enjoy that. I know that's part. I stopped short, like, during the previews at a movie, and the sitting next to me I found weird. But and this was a good-looking young couple. The guy was like, clearly a muscle guy, worked out. Like, the girl was a good-looking girl, and it was just I just found it weird to just
now. Do you guys
do that?
Do you have the app where you buy your tickets so you can see which seats are available?
No, well, I saw with the seats. They were like, I went and bought it through, like, I bought popcorn and a drink and the ticket at the same time.
So there was no one beside you when you bought your ticket.
And then, I saw it right on the screen. The guy showed me. So I picked my seats, and then when I went in,
okay, then
they
someone
sat
else
down. It wasn't I just found it a weird place to
Maybe
choose
he
to
saw
breastfeed,
you.
to sit next to me, to
Maybe he
to
saw
bring a
you.
baby.
He
Sorry,
saw
but-
you and decided that I'm going to sit by Terry Ryan. Those weren't even his assigned seats.
Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe so. I found it odd because he came in right, like it couldn't have been any more than a minute after me.
Oh, buddy, he's a big fan. Did he ask you to sign anything?
No, but it was getting there. But the thing is, I just find it amazing that someone like they seemed like a nice couple could be so tone deaf in so many different areas. I mean, there's three different, like sit next to me, bring the baby into the theater, and to breastfeed during that time. I think are 3 strikes. No,
oh,
I mean, three weird. Strikes is probably a harsh way to put it, but definitely 3 odd, unique choices that I definitely wouldn't have made.
Fair. We got a lot of text flying in at 833-401-1440. Greg's, you're bang on. It's called Parents and Tot Showings. They need to have it in TR's city. Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe they do have it and TR doesn't know.
Well, no, but I mean, that would be worse. You're going into a theater with 30 other, like however many other crying babies. I can't imagine. Right? That's very fun.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go. You would only go if you have a tot. So it's you kind of go there to be respectful and understanding that, you know what? Because they have the light, they turn the lights on a little bit more. Strutty would tell us. I never went. But because I was just like, you know what? I don't need to go to theater that bad. I'll wait. And I don't love movies that much. I'd watch one at home when my son was sleeping. But once he was old enough, now we take him to theater. Like, I love it. Like, it's one of the greatest things, going to the movies with your son. It's unbelievable. Like, I got him, we've seen Star Wars. We saw Indiana Jones now. He's old enough. It's fantastic. So, but I do like this one. Greg's, did you say a horror in Venice or a horror? Oh, man, where's Strutty from Sean? I said a horror. Okay. It's
and it's a haunting in Venice, by the way. But yeah, good.
Well, there you go. See, I couldn't remember. A haunting horror in so. Hey guys, what's your rule? I like this conversation. What should be mandatory babysitters? Well, we have to go to break, but that's a legitimate question. Now I understand every situation is different. I totally get it. But to me, you're like, I'm wondering if the wife has that much enjoyment in a movie theater if the toddler's squirming and they're teething. Like, that was the part. Like, you know what happens when they're teething. Like that.
So they made this decision, Jason. That's what I'm saying. They decided to go. Wouldn't it just be easier to stay at home and then get a babysitter and go to the theater? I just found it for
babysitter. Just say my baby's teething. I'm gonna wait. Like, you don't teeth that long. It's a while. It's a short-term thing. And there's just certain times when you choose to be a parent. Guess what? You can't have it all. You can't have it all. When you're a parent, there's certain times where you say, guess what? I'm not going. I can't go here. Like when my son was little, you know what? We'd go to our friend's place, but at certain points, it's like, well, we can't go for dinner because there are a certain time of the day it interrupts nap time. And we were pretty adamant. We don't want to disrupt nap time. Because now the grandparents don't care if you disrupt nap time. The aunts and uncles don't care because they don't have to deal with the lunatic when they miss their nap. Only the parents. So there's certain times as a parent, guess what? I'm sacrificing this for my sanity. And I can't imagine going to a movie theater when my son or daughter was teething. Like that's just
if it's Smurfs or
doesn't
My
matter.
Little Pony cartoon or something. At least there's colors there. At least they can, I don't know. This. I mean, teething. So there you go. It was like 1 year old or less.
Yeah, that's
I mean, ignorant all around, I think. And for people that were dressed nice, and the guys seem to have a good handle on one sport at least, meaning like they must be somewhat intelligent to a degree. It seems like it's just an ignorant choice.
It's Terry's Rant, brought to you by Action Electrical. Don't bring your teething child to the haunting of Venice. Okay, just a little note from TR. Let's get to the con man. Now that Connor Halley, that is something he would never do, because right now the Chargers are like the haunting of the NFL. Here is sports 1440 update, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC or your furnace right now at Legacy.
It's time for a Sports 1440 update.
Peace. Week 2 in the NFL wraps up tonight with the Panthers hosting the Saints. That gets going at 5:15. Then at 6:15, the Browns in Pittsburgh taking on the Steelers. You can join me at the Spruce Grove Canadian Brewhouse for all the action and a chance to qualify for a trip to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. The Kansas City Chiefs, then Patrick Mahomes, have reconstructed his contract giving him $210.6 million in the next 4 seasons, the most money in NFL history over a 4-season span. So compensation for those years is now guaranteed. The Chiefs and Mahomes plan to revisit the agreement after the 2026 season, and an MRI showed that Giants running back Saquon Barkley suffered an ankle sprain. He's now expected to miss up to 3 weeks. That's from Adam Schefter. Major League Baseball today. One final for you. Guardians not falling to the Royals 6-4. Still to come tonight, you'll have the Twins in Cincinnati. Marlins host the Mets. The White Sox in Washington taking on the Nationals. Cards up against the Brewers. The Red Sox in Texas to take on the Rangers. Astros host the Orioles. Mariners in Oakland. Padres taking on the Rockies. And the Tigers in LA to take on the Dodgers. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Andi Petrillo, CBC Sports, and Edmonton Elks quarterback Tre Ford.
Live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
First Round is Edmonton's NFL headquarters. Get in the game and watch NFL football this season at First Round. And you'll have a chance to win a trip to your favorite NFL city to watch a game in person next season. And the hits keep on coming with food and drink specials, big screen TVs, and more. Catch the Pro Bowl brunch every Sunday, Monday Night Football, and head in Thursdays for your chance to win an NFL replica helmet. NFL at First Round. Burgers, beer, sports. Downtown West Edmonton Mall and at 1strnd.ca.
Hey, Alberta drivers. New rules are in place to protect roadside workers. Now, when you see first responders, tow trucks, or highway maintenance vehicles with flashing lights on the side of the road, you must move over if it's safe to do so. If you can't move over, slow down to at least 60 kilometers an hour. Help protect Alberta's roadside workers. It's the law. Learn more at alberta.ca/roadworkersafety. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Your old furnace can die in the blink of an eye, so why take that chance this winter? Eric Mikowski here, head of the family at Furnace Family. The time for a new furnace is now. Not only will you have peace of mind on those cold winter nights, you will save money on those super expensive gas bills. Unsure? Furnace Family can come check your furnace, and if you buy a new one from us, the check is free. Daikin has an industry-leading lifetime warranty on their heat exchangers. It could be the last furnace you ever buy. Visit furnacefamily.com. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night, furnacefamily.com.
You don't have to sacrifice your canola yield potential to help manage clubroot, especially now that every InVigor canola hybrid with clubroot resistance includes our patented pod shatter reduction technology. Whether your fields need the protection of first or second generation clubroot resistance, you can count on our hybrids to further protect your hard-earned yield potential, so you can expect big yields, even in your tough fields. Talk to your retailer early to book your InVigor seed.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station.
CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio, professional athletes use aquatic therapy, radial shockwave, zero gravity treadmills, and pneumatic recovery devices for rehab. Leading Edge Physiotherapy offers those to you because sports shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Monday afternoon. How are you? Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley with you on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, live in the E-Well studio, EWEL.ca. Check them out. If you need anything electrical, they got it all. And they are huge sports fans. So just like Terry's friend, they'll just slide by. You guys can talk sports anytime in their lobby. No problem. I'm pretty sure they actually, you know what? They like having Sports 1440 on. So if you like to go into places that have the show, they do. So check it out. We are now joined by our regular Monday afternoon contributor. She joins us every Monday at 4 o'clock from One Soccer, also from CBC Sports. Today, she was the host for the inaugural Professional Women's Hockey League draft. And like any draft, it had some intrigue, some excitement, lots of emotion as players were fired up. And, you know, this is a historic day for women's hockey, as they now have one league. All the best players in the world will be playing in one league, which is, I think, is fantastic. Andi, how you doing? Good work today on the broadcast. It has to be feel a little surreal. A Canadian woman in Canada helping kind of put forth the first ever Professional Women's Hockey League draft and have it broadcast live.
Drafts are hard, by the way. Like, there's a lot of players you have to remember and their stats and teams. And then by the time the second round comes around, I'm like, who was drafted in that first round again? But it definitely was a great day. And there was so much energy around it. It was held at the CBC Broadcast Center inside the Barbara From Atrium. And they have what's called, by the way, gentlemen, I want to make sure you get this right, because this was like a big bone of contention throughout the entire day. It's periwinkle is the color of the league, not purple. Not purple. I don't want to hear anybody say that. Periwinkle. So they walked the periwinkle carpet. Oh. And to much fanfare, a lot of fans are around, a lot of young hockey players in attendance who were very excited to see their star players. And so there was a lot of pomp and circumstance around the day, a lot of family members there who understandably got emotional. I was on the panel with Shannon Zabados, you know, the great goalie for Canada, World Olympic champ, as well as Cheryl Pounder, who's one of the pioneers as well of the women's game. And a couple of times she got emotional because she never thought we would see this day. You know, Cheryl's been a part of many firsts in the women's game. When the first time you're included in the Olympics and, you know, world championships and all that kind of stuff. So she saw a lot of things for the first time. She never thought that we would see this type of professional draft. So it was an exciting day, but it was also really emotional.
Oh, I can imagine it for sure. You know, for lots of women who played in the game, you know, they've all wanted this for a while, and it's nice to see one league. You know, that's a color, honestly, and I'd never heard of before. So thanks for that. It's like when I bought my car once, and it was taupe. I just thought it was beige.
Oh,
turns out it was taupe. So, I always learn new colors, so that's nice. Now, you know, it was a 15-round draft, so that, you know, the teams have lots of their players. When you're talking, was there any surprises at all early on? Like Natalie Spooner, to me, now maybe it's because of her age, but I thought she went later than expected.
Yeah, so here's the thing, and to be quite honest, nobody ever really confirmed it, but if you use a little bit of common sense, and to your point, this is an incredible player. One thing to know about this league is, so while it is a professional league, and what I mean by that is, for the first time ever, these players are being drafted in by the best player, right? So next best player up, that's who gets drafted. Whereas before, where it also lacked professionalism was that a lot of players just kind of signed with the team that was where they lived. You know, like even Sarah Nurse back in the day signed with Toronto. She lived in Toronto. She signed for like $2,000. Like that, drafted, you know, by Toronto. That wasn't real. This was a real draft. But having said that, and there, you know, there is an understanding as well of women, especially those who have just had children. The league has allowed for players to sign what's called a compassion form.
Okay.
And they can fill it out and they can give a reason as to why they want to remain in the city they're currently in. So again, rub a couple brain cells together, use a little bit of common sense, know that Natalie's exceptional. To go later, you know, in that, was it the fourth round? Like to go later, as you mentioned, you start to go, okay, this is probably somebody who signed a compassion form. Was granted permission, because by the way, you can fill out that compassion form and be denied. Just because you fill it out doesn't mean the league would grant it, but in certain cases they granted it. She just had a baby in December. So they obviously, again, what we're guessing here that was the case for Natalie Spooner. So a compassion form is definitely something that players could fill out here before the draft.
Okay. So that played in part of it. Go ahead, Tara.
Andi, what's the European representation going to look like? How many Europeans are expected to play in the league? I mean, like percentage-wise.
Not a lot. I mean, two right away that stand out. So Alina Mueller ended up going 3rd overall from Switzerland. She's an Olympic bronze medalist. And Chloe Aurore from France ended up going as well. We did have another player from the Czech Republic get drafted. So we did see like a few, at least in those first 4 rounds, we saw a few European players. And, you know, they're going to be role models for players in Europe. They're going to basically show European players that this is supposed to be the best league, not just for Canadians and Americans, but for players around the world. So hopefully that will open the door for a lot of those players in Europe to know that they have a place to play. If you're one of the best, the PWHL wants you. So these are players who declared for the draft and definitely went in those top 4 rounds. And, you know, again, as I rush home and I get here, I'm going to get myself up to date on, because there's 15 rounds total, on who else went, but those were the ones who went pretty high up. So to your point though, Terry, I mean, it's not a huge percentage, but I think that this is also a little bit of an awakening maybe to European players that this could be a place where they could play. It's also worth noting sort of the 90 players who get drafted today, those who don't get drafted automatically become free agents. So those could be, you know, perhaps a lot of European players, because the league purposely wanted teams to have spots still available come training camp, which is in November, because they wanted players to not just go to training camp for the sake of showing up. It's you're going to go to training camp and you legitimately have a chance of making a team. So we could see a lot of European players show up to training camp and sign on as free agents still.
So I know I don't want to put the cart before the horse. This is a really positive time, but I can't help but think expansion. So even though it hasn't started yet, but is there any talk bubbling under about, you know, if it was to move on, where it would possibly move?
Oh, I mean, not yet. Those conversations haven't taken place yet. But I will say that, you know, the Mark Walter Group, so Mark and his wife Kimbra, I mean, these are huge financial investors. Billie Jean King Enterprises, another big investment. Stan Kasten, who works alongside Mark Walter, and, you know, their inclusion with the LA Dodgers and Lakers and stuff. Like, these are savvy people. They actually spoke to a lot of players. They conducted a ton of market research to even pick these original 6 locations. Okay. So some of it obviously had to do on venue availability, and the NHL also with its involvement. Some of the venues, like the Minnesota team, looks like it'll play out of the XL Energy Center. Some of the practice facilities will be available to the women. And as we know, in the NHL, practice facilities are already a step above so many other facilities. So it's already on a different kind of professional level. But a lot of work went into just even choosing these 6 locations. So Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Boston, New York, and Minnesota. So, you know, they're not going to take expansion lightly. They're going to want to grow, but they also want to make sure that whatever market they go into, it's going to be sustainable. This is what it's all about. It's about professional sustainability. So I think they want to get off the ground first and then see where the market research takes them.
Andi Petrillo joins us from One Soccer, also CBC Sports earlier today, the inaugural first draft for the Professional Women's Hockey League. And, you know, I think that the reason why, you know, we've had some text, the reason why there was a lack of Finnish women drafted is because a lot of them are still under contract for 1 more year. So that plays a part in it. And I think you'll probably see a bigger influx of European players now that they know this league is up and running, and that will help them moving forward. Andi, you know, we've seen in women's sports, at all levels, obviously in men's sport at many levels, you see coaches like Mike Babcock that cross the line at times. You know, we've seen some pretty ugly cases recently. I think in both genders. You know, it's not like it's just men or women. It happens all over the place. How much was that at play here? Because I know there was, you know, the one women's college program that's been a big topic of it. So is that still a concern at all? Or do you feel that the women's game is maybe a little bit more of that? I think for the most part, the men's game is good, but there is obviously still outliers like Babcock that people still, for whatever reason, keep giving second and third and fourth chance.
Oh, geez. Well, I know you're talking about Harvard and Katie Stone, and that's just like, I mean, some of the information you hear to there, it's just, I mean, it's deplorable. And you're right. Like, this is something that happens in the men's and women's games. And by the way, by men and women coaches.
Yeah.
So abuse is abuse, like bottom line. So the Mike Babcock one, I have a lot of emotions about that. I mean, I don't know where you guys are. I mean, Terry, to me, if there's something that kind of bugs me a little bit about the hockey world and in particular the NHL, it's like, do we not believe in new coaches? Like, why do we always have to recycle a little bit? Like, and I'm not trying to take away from anybody, and I'm not trying to be ageist in any way, because if you're excellent, you're excellent. And we all know the world of sport is harsh. So it doesn't work out one place, you get your shot somewhere else. But that part I have some thoughts on. It's like, I do feel like sometimes hockey does that, where like it keeps going back to the same well. I'm like, but why? Can you not look at college coaches? Can you not look at, anyone else in the minor leagues who are coaching in the AHL? Like, is there not somebody new out there that can be an NHL coach? And Mike Babcock, I mean, I was here for all of that went on, with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was heartbroken when I heard about the stuff that went on with, Detroit, because, I had the privilege of covering the Detroit Red Wings and Nashville Predators, that playoff run a few years back, where apparently, Johan Franzen came out and said that that's where he felt the most abused. And it's like, here I was covering it for Hockey Night in Canada. I'm having the time of my life. And little did I know that there was somebody that was just absolutely destroyed by his coach. So I had like a little bit of guilt over that. And I hated that. I hate that. I was having a great time, and somebody who I was covering and, speaking the world of, this was happening behind the scenes. And you kind of feel like you just feel cheated as well as a broadcaster and lied to. And I can't imagine, what Johan Franz and other players were going through. But, and this is where it's tricky, because even though majority of us in Toronto had heard about the Mitch Marner story, how do you report on that unless the player themselves wants to talk about it? So I think it came to light because perhaps Mitch Marner was ready to talk about it. And I think with Columbus, more players were quick and they were fast to be able to talk about it and not let it get out of hand. But we as broadcasters are in tricky positions, because as much as sometimes you want to kind of blow the lid off, you still need permission from the person who is, quote unquote victimized, right? You got to be a little bit careful with that. And it's the same thing even on the women's game. The people who are part of it, they have to be willing to talk about it, because our voices can only go so far. And when they're willing to talk, I think that's when real change starts to happen. But I mean, come on, guys. I mean, hockey is so huge. We have so many incredible coaches in the wings. Like we have a good crop to choose from. You don't have to keep going back to somebody who kind of has that track record. I don't know. And it's tough, right? Because
I agree with you.
I understand the whole argument of second chances too, but I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough.
Well, clearly he didn't learn anything, because if you go back and watch his comments from the July press conference, and he talked, well, my daughter talked to me about communication, tone really matters. And he said all the right things, which is what bullies or predators do. They manipulate people and they say what you want them to hear. And he's like, I've really learned communication is key. And then before training camp even begins, this is what he feels is appropriate. And let's call a spade a spade. What he did with Boone Jenner was normal, right? They have a conversation. It seems fine. Why? Because he knows that Boone Jenner is not a young guy that you can manipulate. He's a proven veteran. He's the captain of their team. He's not going to try to alienate him right away. He's not an idiot, right? He's a bully. So what does he do? He goes after the young players who, like, I don't care. You're a young player. You're a young reporter. You're a young person working an orderly in the hospital. You're a young pick your job. When you're just started out, and somebody who's a superior of yours, asks you to do something uncomfortable like that, is, turn over your phone. It takes a lot of courage to speak out at that moment. And they did it, so a lot of credit, but it just shows how gutless to me. And then when he's let go, his statement says nothing of, geez, I acted wrong. It's just like, oh, I'm disappointed how it played out, blah, blah, blah. Like, to me, the Columbus Blue Jackets, Jarmo Kekalainen here needs to, and John Davidson, like, many people questioned it when it happened.
Yeah.
And here it is 2 months later, everybody's like, see, we told you. And they're like, oh, we made the wrong decision. Like, yeah, but you also thanked him for his professionalism in handling his way to leave, which was due to his unprofessionalism. Like, that's what irked me the most.
Jason, do you think any part of it was to sell tickets? I never really thought about hiring a coach for that. But I mean, like Andi said, why? There's so many people out there, and it's one thing to give a second chance, but this was the changing of cultures. He's getting older. It's one thing to live through all that. I'm 46 and I could be seen as real old, and that he's 60 odd years old. He doesn't have any, like, it seems like he's tone deaf. We knew this was going to happen. Anybody that he played with or against or coached, there's a story out there. I got no personal reason not the guy. Like the guy. I don't know. He coached against me. I had Michel Therrien. It changed my life. It took me years to get over that. He was the same sort of mental abuser, if you want to say that. I mean, I forgive him. It's all in the past. People change. But clearly Babcock, and people knew this. So do you think they just didn't? Do you think they just took the Marner story and said, well, I don't think it's that big of a deal, and didn't look any further? What, like, really?
And it blows my mind because I'm a big fan of Jarmo Kekalainen. I've interviewed him a ton of times. I think this guy's so smart and like he's so great. And I'm just wondering, like, what did Mike Babcock say? How did that interview go where Jarmo went, yeah, you're our guy, right? Like this is the guy we're going to go with, and we kind of forgive everything else. And you did your soul searching, or, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. And to your point, Jason, some guys, when they know how to sell it, they know how to sell it, and they know the language of the NHL as well. So he probably knows what to say. And this is a team that desperately wants to turn things around. And we know Columbus and the players that they've lost throughout the years. I mean, this is a market that needs to figure something out. And maybe they thought Mike Babcock, who I would consider a micromanager of a coach, maybe they thought that's what they needed. I don't know. Like, this is where I have a ton of questions for a lot of people who make certain types of decisions. Where I'm like, why that person? Why are they coming back in? And do you know something we don't know? Where maybe you're like, okay, this second chance is worth it. But to me, forget the Mitch Marner. I'm going back to Johan Franz. Like, I'm going back to the Detroit days. Like that to me is when you're talking about a player who says they have suicidal thoughts because of how somebody's. I mean, Johan Franz's nickname was the Mule, for crying out loud. This is not a weak human being. And you just wonder how much abuse did somebody take to say those things and say that's how they made them feel. Like, that is not a nice person. And it's just, it's completely baffling to me. But I will say this. I mean, the PA, I'll give them credit. Ron Hainsey is another guy. Like, when he played for the Leafs, I fell in love with this guy. This guy is snarky. This guy has attitude, but he doesn't take crap. And knowing that he was part of that investigation and jumped on it, I'm like, stuff's going to get done here. And it did. And it really did. So you got to give the PA credit. As much as we talk about Columbus, obviously dropping the ball on this one, for the first time, I feel like in a long time, I can turn around and say, good on the PA for getting involved early and making sure this was dealt with in a timely manner.
Andi, great stuff. Congratulations on being part of a historic day. Get some rest, have a glass of wine. If you have
yes, please.
And we will chat with you next Monday.
I'm going to get this mask off my face. I got about 5 layers of makeup that's been on for 10 hours.
Congrats, Andi. Nice to talk.
Hi, guys.
There you go. Andi Petrillo from One Soccer and CBC Sports. She was the host for the historic Professional Women's Hockey League draft earlier today. We'll return. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, and more on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Vincent Pearson at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Action Electrical is expanding throughout Alberta. With the recent acquisition of Big Hill Electrical Services in Cochrane, Action Electrical is the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta. What does this mean for Action Electrical and Big Hill Electrical Services? It means that they are able to support their clientele all over Alberta with the same high level of professionalism and integrity. From conception to completion and beyond, throughout Alberta, contact
the professionals
at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 place for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle and get both with a heat pump. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, so the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Time for a heat pump, bring it to me! Gonna get a deal from Legacy! Your heat pump from Legacy will heat and cool while saving you a bundle in energy costs. Plus, you'll get a rebate up to $5,000 and no payments, no interest for 1 year. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 7th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes, born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Buy early and score with the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Get your tickets by midnight Friday, and you could win the bonus prize, a pair of Edmonton season seats plus
Yeah, your dude is back. Maybach roof is back. Tell the whole world the truth is back. You ain't gotta argue about who can rap, cause the proof is back. Just go through my raps. New York, New York. Yeah, where my troopers at? Where my hustlers? Where my boosters at? I don't care what you do for stacks. I know the world glued your back to the wall. You gotta brawl through that. I've been through that. Been shot at. Shoot back. Gotta keep a peace like a boot ass. I ain't a new jack. Nobody gon' Wesley snipe me. It's less than likely. Move back. Let I breathe, Jedi Knight. The more space I get, the better I write. Oh, never I write. But if ever I write, I need the space to say whatever I like. Now just
Tonight, you want a little prop bet on any one of the either Monday Night Football games? Let us know. Text it to 833-401-1440. We make a $20 wager. Usually we have 3 bets, a little parlay. And everything we win at the end of the month will be going towards Kids Sport. So if you feel confident about something, let us know and you could help out the kids. So we'll see how that goes. We are going to get to our CFL report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. If all of a sudden the furnace conks out, doesn't matter the time of day, you call Legacy, they'll come fix it. No extra charge. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Tre Ford, the star quarterback for the Edmonton Elks, is going to be joining us momentarily. Connor Halley is just tracking him down. Now, TR, I know you've said that, football is something you've really gotten into recently. And, Tre Ford's one of those guys who are like, hey, I can watch that. That guy is pretty entertaining. you just didn't really have a lot of football. Like you kind of have the personality, the attitude of a linebacker, I would think potentially maybe like to want to hit some guys, potentially like that. I don't know. Like, could you you ever play football? Can you throw a football? Can you catch a football?
No, well, I'm sure I could, but I know we just didn't have it growing up at all. Played a lot of sports, never football. There might be some small minor organization in Newfoundland. If there is, I don't know of it. I'm on the scene. Like I do volunteer a lot with minor sports. My daughter's right in the thick of it. I coach hockey, baseball, play soccer. She plays soccer. I've never seen anybody I know or their kids play football. Now, do we watch the NFL? Yeah. Some people, like if the Grey Cup, not just the NFL, if the Grey Cup's happening, sure, I'll go down, and I'm sure Greensleeves will be full of fans watching. And all kinds of my buddies fly out to see games. You know, they get swallowed up in the fandom, but as far as playing, no. And you know, it's definitely not first on the agenda when we talk sports, for sure.
No, and that's fair. If you don't play it, it's hard for anybody to really become. I find if you play it, now you don't have to play a sport to become passionate about it, but usually when you play it, that leads to your passion as a fan to want to watch it regularly, right? Like there's obviously some sports, like I never played organized football, but man, we played football every day in junior high and high school, and lots of days at high school outside. And we would play in the wintertime, man, and it was unbelievable. I loved it. So football was the one sport I always wanted to play on an organized team. We just, you know what, you can't play every sport growing up as a kid, and our high school wasn't big enough. We didn't have a football team. And so I never played it, but I always.
What was your high school, by the way?
J.H. Picard, French immersion high school. So we had
like
a soccer.
in Edmonton?
Yeah, soccer team, basketball.
Okay.
So
I did notice there's a lot. Like I noticed when I'm in Edmonton quite a bit over the years, almost like a second home. But I do notice like there's a football scene. I mean, outside of the Eskimos. I mean, and the Elks now, of course. But you know, I would go. Of course, I've gone to games and tailgates. That's a whole new experience for me. But I did notice like there's a lot of young people that play, not so much here.
Oh yeah, no, there's the high school football scene is growing. Junior football obviously being around the Huskies and Wildcats for a long time. The Golden Bears, you know what? Huge win for the Golden Bears, by the way. They're 3-0. They just went into Saskatoon and beat up on the number 3 ranked Huskies. So Chris Morris will be joining us later this week. We're just cementing a time with Coach Morris. So for football fans, yeah, there's a lot of excitement around, but man, the green and gold, it's been a long time since they have had a team that competitive at the university level. So that's exciting to see for sure. We got lots more text flying in at 10-12 at 833-401-1440. Now this one, I love the people that try to that have a really good memory from the past shows and topics that we've talked about. Hey, Terry, a guy starting a convo by you at the theater is similar to someone starting a convo with you at the urinal. Can be very uncomfortable. Hashtag stage frighter. So this came in from Struds, who Struddy has stage fright at times, Tara, when he gets in a urinal in public. And if some guys used to talk to him, he's just like, well, now guess what? It's not working. And it distantly doesn't function. He needs to be very focused on that. And it turns out we had lots of guys who lots of guys who are stage frighters. Like they get in public and they're just like, you know what, man, I want to walk into the urinal, stand there. Don't talk to me. I just, they got to get in their Zen moment, their serenity now. And, they start thinking of waterfalls or anything that will make them, do the deed. So I agree. It was not something that I knew, but when we talked about it on the show, I was surprised at how many guys text in that are in this similar group of stage frighters. So, you know what? Some people just don't, there's that interaction that people don't like. The other thing, hey guys, I love Terry Ryan. The thing that I thought got overlooked was how he likes to show up 25 minutes just because he's good at trivia in the movie theater, from Dan.
Yeah, good point, I guess. I find it part of the experience. Hey, I'm paying enough to get in there. I'm paying enough. The movie was like $26, popcorn and a drink, $21. I mean, really. So you know what? I'm going to get everything I can out of that. And if that means all the previews and all the trivia, fine. But I do enjoy the trivia part.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll try to get to Tre. Actually, we'll get to Tre Ford. Yeah, we'll do him right now. I think it's a little bit late, but I think we got him on the line here. So we'll get on, of course. I think Elks fans are pretty excited. The Elks are 4-1 in their last 5 games. Their running game has been out of this world with Brown, and obviously Tre Ford plays a part in that. and he joins us now. Tre, welcome to the show. How you doing? And continued success. I just, what did you learn in the first 8 weeks on the sidelines that's allowed you, the minute you got your chance, to be this good and make the most of it?
I mean, yeah, I think it was a lot of mental reps and just, learning from the mistakes that we made earlier on in the year. And, just getting the chance to see how a lot of our receivers move as well, because we have a lot of new guys in our starting 5 receiving core right now. So just being able to see how they move and the things they're good at and playing to their advantages and everything, and just being able to get the offense on the same page. I mean, when I got out there, obviously I had to find the timing with the receivers myself.
Yeah.
But it was nice just to see how they were moving, getting those mental reps, knowing where to go with the ball, pre-snap, and adjusting on the fly.
Well, you've definitely come in, and it's not just you, Tre, the whole running attack for this team. Like, you guys are running for 150 yards for fun, and I know it's not that easy, but what do you attribute to such a massive change and massive success for the entire running attack right now?
I think a big part of it is just the mentality of our O-line. I think they're taking a lot more physical approach than we did earlier on in the year. And I mean, I think, the run game obviously starts up front with them. And then I think having me back there in the backfield helps as well, just in the sense that, I can, if nothing's there, I can get out and run for, 10, 15 yards a pop and end with 70 rushing yards a game, I think is like roughly the average. And then too, like, we do RPOs and I'm getting out of the box, and then it gives us good numbers to run the ball, right? It gives us an advantage. And KB and the O-line make the best out of that situation. And even like our fullbacks, Manny and Tanner, are doing a fantastic job of bricking those ends that are freaking 250, 60, 70 pounds. So, I mean, I think it all starts up front with the mentality. I think that's been the big factor. And then, I mean, I don't think there's very many people in the league that actually want to go tackle Kevin Brown. So that definitely helps too.
Tre, you come from a football family. Your dad coached. Your brother Tyrell plays pro. Do you still lean on them for advice?
Oh, yeah. I talk to them literally every day, football and just about life in general. And, I mean, they always got good advice. Yeah, like any questions and stuff, I try to talk to them about. I mean, my dad can't really answer a lot of the professional questions because he's only really coached at, like, high school level. But it's still nice just to hear his opinion, and he believes in me and always gives me some words of wisdom and just kind of hypes me up a little bit, which is nice, and keeps my confidence up and everything. So it's definitely good to talk to the family.
Recent history has seen the Elks go through adversity, to say the least, but now there's an air of positivity surrounding the team. What's the feeling in the room?
It's an exciting feeling. I think everybody, offensively, defensively, even the coaches, are feeling a lot of excitement with the team we have right now. And I think our team is really dangerous at this point in time. I feel like we could really go out there and beat anybody, regardless of the situation or the scenario, whether we're down by 10 in the fourth quarter or whatever it is. I think our offense is really explosive right now. And I think our defense is doing a good job at eliminating other teams' offenses. So, like, I think right now too, I still don't think we've played a full 4 quarters, but I think in that last game we just played against Saskatchewan, I thought we played pretty decent for 3 quarters. I thought we were a little rough early on in the first quarter, but once we can just get everything smooth sailing for 4 quarters, I think we're going to be super, super dynamic offensively. And I mean, even looking back when we haven't played 4 quarters or we've only played a half or this or that, we still average, I think it's like 30 points a game in the last 5 weeks. So
yeah, it's going well. Tre Ford, quarterback for the Edmonton Elks, our guest here on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Tre, what is it about you and Jarius Jackson? Because it wasn't just you that came in. It was also they switched the OC. And to me, there's been a little bit of change in the play calling. What has worked well with you two? Obviously, you were familiar. He was the quarterback's coach. That's allowed him to have the play calling that allows you to maximize your skill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he's done a good job of putting me in good situations. And I think the big thing is he's not asking me to do too much in a lot of those situations. I mean, I think I probably lead the CFL right now in least amount of pass attempts a game. which I think is good for a younger quarterback and with how we've been running the football. So he's not asking me to go out there and throw for 400 or 500 yards to try to win football games. We're dominating the line of scrimmage. He's put me in good situations to throw the football. And, good play calling, good concepts. And I feel like just giving me an advantage over the defense, and I'm just trying to make the most out of the opportunity.
Obviously, there's times he has set plays to use your other skill, which is running the ball. I do want to ask you the spin move. You're very good at the spin move. Do you practice that as a quarterback? Has it just come natural to you when you were younger? Because, man, you're able to spin. If you sense the pressure, you don't necessarily run away from it. A lot of times, if the guy's coming from the left side on you, you'll spin and just go around him to the outside because you're like, hey, I guess I got a lot of real estate there. You kind of take me through that evolution of adding that to your repertoire.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely natural. I would say I don't think about, I'm going to do a spin move, but I know a lot of the times, especially when the defensive end is coming free or something on the left side, I don't think they know that I see him 99% of the time. So you kind of just do a little jab step forward and then reverse out. And I mean, it's been super successful for me so far. I mean, I maybe got tackled once on it in my career. So definitely going to keep using that one. I mean, people are going to see it on film and adjust and everything, but I mean, until they start to stop it, still going to use that move for sure.
With those quick of feet, Tre, are you pretty slick on the dance floor?
I mean, I would like to say I'm a good dancer, but my wife might disagree. Maybe my brother. Who knows? Maybe they're mad they can't dance like me. So.
I also noticed, Mr. Faithful's wave has really become kind of a unique, fun rallying cry for the team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that Selly's going to go a long way for us. I mean, I'm sure you'll see it again at some point in time. And it was just, I think that was a huge game and a huge kick that really, it kept our season alive. It kept us in the hunt. And I mean, I think it's literally going to be something that symbolizes the turnaround that we've had here in Edmonton. I mean, it took a long, long time, but I feel like we're really taking the step in the right direction. And I mean, we were down, I don't even know how much we were down in the fourth quarter, and we were able to put that comeback together to come back and win. And usually the old Edmonton team, we would have folded and that would have been the game and it would have been a blowout. But we were able to, rally together as a team and come back in that fourth quarter and win the game.
Speaking of quick feet, you grew up playing track and field. Do you think that had anything to do with your multi-sport success?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, I've always kind of ran track as a kid and in high school and throughout university. And I mean, the main reason I ran track, I mean, one, it was fun. And in high school, you could get the day off of school. But mostly it was for training, just for football, to get faster. Because, I mean, the faster you can be on the football field, the better. So track has always been fun and everything. I never took it too serious, though. It was mostly just training for football to get faster.
Well, Tre, continued success. Quickly, I want to look ahead to the BC Lions because your team as an offense obviously hasn't had a lot of success against them, being shut out twice. You had the opportunity to watch both of those games. What do you feel as an offense you need to do to have success against the Lions this week?
I think what we need to do is what we've been doing recently. I mean, I think we have to make them stop us. I feel like we're kind of a new team. We're gonna run the ball. They're gonna have to prove that they can stop the run. And I mean, I also would like to get some shots up on their defensive backs. I think we got some really talented receivers that can go up and get the ball. And I think, we can get some deep shots on them. I think we can run the ball. And I think we can do a lot of our RPO game. I think we can really piece together an offense here that's definitely not going to get shut out. We're going to go out there and score some points. And I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. I mean, I feel like this might be one of the big real tests for us. I mean, I know we just played Saskatchewan, but I feel like BC is a top 3 team in the league right now currently. So, I mean, I think this is a big test for us. And I think our whole team's excited for this because we know we're taking a step in the right direction. And I think this is a stage where we get to go prove it.
Well, Tre, thanks so much for joining us. Continued success. You have, I can say, really rejuvenated a fan base that was pretty downtrodden. An exciting player to watch. And obviously the team now 4-1 in their last 5. Fans want to come and watch you. So continued success.
Yeah, appreciate all the support from them too.
That is Tre Ford, quarterback for the Edmonton Elks. Well-spoken man. Are you kidding me? Like really well-spoken and electrifying player to watch. That spin move. I love it. And I love the confidence there. He's like, hey, you know what? I think I've been tackled once with that move. And until someone stops me, I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah, they can watch it on film. And watching it on film, Terry, is one thing, but being able to stop it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, totally. No, I like his, he's humble and confident all at once. I like his confidence. I think he's got a bright future. Like I said, I don't know much about it. I know Tre Ford is. I mean, I watch highlights, and I know that he's electrifying, and that if one franchise in North America needed it right now, it was the Edmonton Elks. So future looks bright.
Very true. Gregor and Ryan with you. We'll come back. We have 5 questions on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hi, I'm Colin from Cantork. The call letters and studio have changed, yet Edmonton's passion for sports endures. Cantork proudly continues our partnership with Jason Gregor and is eager to get back in the game on Sports 1440.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its second season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the U14, 15, 17, and U18 age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast online on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. Are you one of those people out there looking for something different to heat and cool your home? Weiss Johnson is Edmonton's cold climate heat pump specialist and would love to explain to you how Trane heat pumps are a reliable, cost-effective alternative for your home's heating and cooling needs. Order your Trane heat pump now and take advantage of the generous government rebates that are available. Trane, it's hard to stop with Trane. Call the most experienced HVAC company around with over 45 years in business. Visit wjcools.com today.
Hi, Larry Ricci from Vision RV, reminding you that now's the time to start thinking winterization. The cold stuff is on the way, so be proactive and protect your investment with Vision RV's thorough and affordable winterizing packages. You'll be all set for the off-season with help from our amazing service team. So kick back and relax in our comfy customer lounge while we get to work, or stroll around and see what's new. We look forward to seeing you here at Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
Well, I used to be a farmer and I made a living fine. I had a little stretch of land along the CB line. But times went by and though I tried, the money wasn't there. And the bankers came and took my land and told me fair is fair. I looked for every kind of job, the answer always no. Hire you now, they'd always laugh, we just let 20 go. The government, they promised me a measly little sum. But I've got too much pride to end up just another bum. Then I thought, who gives a damn if all the jobs are gone? I'm gonna be a pirate on the river Saskatchewan. And it's a heave-ho-high coming down the plains, stealing wheat and barley and all the other grains. And it's a ho-hey-hi-hey, farmers by your doors when you see the Jolly Roger on Regina's mighty shores.
I would think Jason Gregor alongside Terry Ryan here on Sports 1440. And it's time for 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where savings happen all the time. The semi-annual sale is coming up at The Brick starting tomorrow. It's twice a year. Huge savings on stylish furniture, top brand name appliances, and mattresses. Don't miss out on these savings at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, the timing works out well. Fill in the blank. Tre Ford is the best thing to happen to the Elks since blank.
Ooh,
You gonna lead off, Jay?
Yeah, I'm going to say since Ricky Ray emerged out of nowhere in 2002 for the green and gold.
I'll say one thing I do know. It was hard to miss Mike Riley, the 2015 Grey Cup MVP. Or was it 16? Either way, since then.
15. It's a good one.
Question number 2. I know this will be the last time I utter his words in a long time. Will Mike Babcock coach again? And if so, what level?
Okay, if it's me here. Okay, guys, I need to know one thing. Did he ask for someone's phone and say, can I go and go through it himself? Really, that's the big thing to me. Or was it just an odd situation that he wanted everybody? Can you contribute on here? But it's up to you. Did he really cross that ultimate line, Jason?
According to Elliot Friedman's report,
okay,
he asked for the phone and then took time scrolling through it.
Okay. I thought so because that's what was iffy at first. Okay, in that case, I'll say no. If it was anything short of that, I'll say yes. Now, I don't support it because I've had a similar coach, but I'll tell you this. For everybody that has a bad story about Babcock, someone has a good one. First of all, he won a lot. And I'll tell you this, Danny Clary, my buddy Danny Clary, who was washed out, he was gone from the NHL. He was pretty much ousted for Europe. He had one last chance, and he went to Detroit. Now, we don't talk about it. I've never heard him sing his praises. It's never even a topic. But over the years, we've spoken, and I know enough to know he was pivotal in having Clary not only make the NHL, but eventually have a Stanley Cup and be where he is now. So people like Clary become owners. People like Clary become GMs. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that he did rub the right way. And when we're talking about jobs, 3 or 4 years from now, I don't think any more than 10 when he's in his 70s. I think if he's 60 or 61, we've got a few years. And I'm telling you, I could see them looking past it. Kyrie Irving plays every year. You know he's only going to play 20 games. Anthony Davis will play again. James Harden will be somewhere. I know that's basketball. I'm just saying a lot of times these decisions leave you scratching your head, but it takes one person in the right place with, and you do have some experience. He's been around a lot of people that have confidence in him. So I will say yes.
100% no. I don't. You would have to be a new level of tone deaf to want to give him a chance to be a head coach again. This is 3, 4, 5 strikes. You're out. I don't see any team and no association. If somebody in junior hockey, like you want him around young people, are you joking? No chance. Like beat it.
I agree with you, by the way. I just think it'll happen. Sorry. I cut you off. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fair. You're right. The stupidity has shown that guys like him would get a chance, but I'm going to go and believe that sanity will reign this time, and we will not see him coach again.
Good.
Question number 3. Which 0-2 NFL team should be panicking the most right now?
Well, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals because, they had arguably the most hype coming in of all the teams that are 0-2, and their quarterback said he re-aggravated his injury. So that, to me, is big reasons for concern in Cincinnati.
It was 1 of 2 teams for me. That was definitely one. Panic, I mean, if you're 0-2, it's not a good start anyway. But some teams, I don't know, the Bears maybe, you don't really expect them to do much. But Denver, because I watched those games, and they look great at times. Like, for them to lose yesterday, they would have had to have some kind of legendary collapse. And it seems that it's going to happen, and then it happens. To me, teams that win don't go on such roller coaster rides. Not only are they 0-2, but the method in that they got there is alarming to me. So I'll say Denver.
Question number 4. If you had to set the over-under for Connor Bedard's point total this year, what would you put the number at?
TR?
I think he's going to get 40-plus goals and 85-plus points. That's me. What I think the bar would be at, it's in the 60s. Let's say 60, yes, 67.5 there.
67.5. That's good. I like your positivity because I love offense. I would say if I was setting the line for Bedard it's hard to score points in the NHL nightly as a rookie. Connor McDavid had 48 in 45 games, so just over, but he missed some time. So I would put it at 74.5 because I think it's tough to play all 82 games, and even if you think he's a point a game player, how many games is he going to miss? So I'd put it at 74.5.
And final question for you guys tonight. I'm heading to the Canadian Brew House after the show, Spruce Grove location, for Monday Night Football. In honor of that, when it comes to pub food, what is your go-to?
Go ahead, Jay.
Go-to pub food. Geez, it's a different time. I don't go out to a lot of pub food anymore. But man, when I did, I had a few go-tos, man. Like I like a place. Like I'm a pretty simpleton for pub food. I either want a really good burger or just a really good clubhouse. But I will say lately, I've become a big fan of the boneless wings at First Round. I just like the boneless wings. I can eat it with a fork. I'm like Costanza and a Snickers now. I can be classy. I don't have to get my hands all dirty, and it still has the good taste. So I will go with First Round boneless wings.
Well, if I'm at a pub, I like to indulge in alcohol once a week. Like I said, I generally, Friday or Saturday, I go down with my buddies. So that's when I would be at the pub. Otherwise, I'm not at the pub. So if I'm at the pub and I'm out drinking with my buddies, I don't want pizza. I don't want sandwiches. I don't want a clubhouse. It all might taste good, but it's going to ruin my night from the point of view that I'm going to be too bloated. I'm going to be too full, possibly on the toilet or in the toilet. So I really keep it simple. I don't have many carbs, and I just go with wings and go from there. Wings, a pint. I start every night. I go down with a shot of Jameson, a pint, and either wings, or I might do some mussels. Around here, mussels is a pub food.
Oh, man. I would assume, though, your guys' mussels are a little different than ours because they're going to be fresh right out of the ocean.
Yeah, and so A, they are pretty good, and B, they're offered like almost everywhere, right? So, and it's a nice snack to have while you're drinking that's not going to bloat you too much.
Now, do they come in like different flavors now, or is it just straight mussels?
No, different flavors. Generally some kind of a tomato base and some kind of a cream base. Okay. So it varies, but I'm pretty simple. I just, as long as they're Atlantic mussels, they're good with me. Oh yeah, I love them. I love them. I eat a lot of mussels. I have them in a jar. Like I have them out of their shell, if you want to call it, like in the jar.
Yeah.
Eat them every night. It's a snack. Yeah.
Really? So if any of us were coming out to see you, TR, like what is a staple of your food there on the East Coast that we would have to have?
Oh yeah, it would probably be fish-based, but there's so much. I mean, I love to eat at the Merchant Tavern. You can get, seafood pastas, seafood chowder. It's all a different level. And we take real pride in it. The tourism industry is largely bolstered by our restaurants downtown, a really cool part of Canada. So there's a lot of great food, a lot of variation, but the traditional Newfoundland stuff, there's a let's say fish and brewis, like a brewis they call it. It's like fish with a kind of a breadish hardtack way. I can't really explain it. You'll have to look it up. Jig's dinner on Sunday is big. You get it's kind of like Sunday dinner, some differences. I have cod with mine. A lot of people have salt meat. Look into that. A lot of Newfoundlanders eat salt meat. Okay. We have I eat there's Yorkshire pudding. I have that with a lot of my meals. Good seafood soup. Usually someone in somebody's family cooks good enough that me and the boys usually have some level of seafood soup in the fridge. You know what I mean? So that sort of thing. Exactly what you would think being around the ocean.
Okay, I like it. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, TR sticking with us for another. Are you sticking with us for another hour? Or are you out?
I got to leave today.
I love it. TR, have yourself a good one. We will chat with you on Thursday.
I'll see you Thursday. Yeah, I got an early morning. I got to be up at 4, and I'm going to watch a bit of Seinfeld with my daughter now. Ooh. And then get up for an odd morning.
She must be smart and educated if she's a big fan of Seinfeld. So that is fantastic. It's one of the greatest shows.
Every night she's got to read for 10, 15 minutes a night. Something could be anything. Could be a magazine. Could be my book. Could be whatever. Just read something, gain some knowledge, and then usually we watch a little excerpt on. I let her. To me, Seinfeld is catching up on your pop culture, your history. So there you go. We usually watch a show before bed, and Seinfeld's it tonight.
It's fantastic. It's already 8:30 where you're at in St. John's. So
Yeah, that's why I say so. Yeah.
get a good rest. We will chat with you on Thursday.
I'll see you Thursday, guys. Thanks.
That's Terry Ryan, our Monday co-host from 3 until 5. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports Center update brought to you by Edmonton Kubota. They're so excited to have Sports Talk Radio back that right now you can have 0% financing for 84 months on all compact BXB tractors in stock. Shop online at edmontonkubota.com or go see him on 156th Street. Here is Connor Halley.
Time for a Sports 1440 update.
The Young Stars Classic out in Penticton. The Oilers Young Stars falling to the Canucks 5-2. Week 2 in the NFL gets going or wrapping up tonight as the Panthers host the Saints at 5:15. Then at 6:15, the Browns taking on the Steelers. You can join me at the Spruce Grove Canadian Brewhouse for all the action. The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes restructuring his deal, giving him $210.6 million in the next 4 years. That is the most in NFL history over a 4-year span. The Chiefs and Mahomes plan to revisit that agreement after the 2026 season. Tough news for the Giants as running back Saquon and Barkley will miss the next 3 weeks with an ankle sprain. That comes from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Major League Baseball today, one final for you. As the Kansas City Royals getting past the Cleveland Guardians 6-4. A couple games underway right now, both scoreless. Reds, Twins, and Mets, Marlins, both of those in the second. Still to come tonight, Nationals will take on the White Sox, the Phillies in Atlanta. Cards host the Brewers, Red Sox taking on the Rangers, Astros up against the Orioles. The Mariners travel to the Bay to take on the Athletics. Padres will host the Rockies, and the Tigers in Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Sportsnet's Mark Spector.
This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Well, ding ding, the champ is back in the ring, going toe-to-toe with the best flocking chicken wing special in town, only at the Canadian Brewhouse. A minimum 10 wings ain't no problem for the champ when they're only 69 cents all day Wednesday, all day Sunday. Yeah, pal. 2 days to enjoy an unbeatable offer on wings. With a featured wing flavor of the month every month, Wednesday and Sundays just became a very serious wing thing. Both days, all day, 69 cents only at the Canadian Brewhouse.
There's nothing like having a little skin in the game to make things interesting. But when a little skin becomes more than you can afford to lose, it's time to take a break from sports betting. Set a budget and stick to it. If you gamble, use your game sense. Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20.
answer. I never seem to find what I'm looking for. Lord, I pray you give me strength to carry on. 'Cause I know it means to walk along the lonely street of dreams. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to
Just after 5 o'clock on a busy Monday. How are you? Welcome back, or if you're just joining us, to the Jason Gregor Show. A few things to note. If you are on the Henday by Campbell Road on the north side, there is a semi-trailer that is overturned on the exit on the Campbell. So that's affecting eastbound traffic. So be aware out there. If you got any traffic snarls, text them in 833-401-1440. We'll pass it along so everybody else can, at least if they're in a traffic jam, they'll know why. And then you can just sit back and relax and listen to Sports 1440. I'm Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley. We are live in the EWEL studio, EWEL, your one-stop shop for all things electrical. Check it out, ewel.ca. Now, let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They are coming up on their 50th anniversary. They'll be celebrating. Big event. 50 years, man. It's pretty cool. Started in the family. Turan now runs it. I love those type of success stories where you're able just to keep building and growing. GS Construction, they're hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. As Mark Spector from Sportsnet joins us today. And Spec, obviously the topic of conversation dominating the hockey world is Mike Babcock, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Paul Bissonnette was 100% bang on right from the start.
Yeah, he sure was. He had the players that tipped him on this thing, and you know what? Good for two things, I would say. Good for him, right? I'm in the scoops business myself, and it's always a good day when you break a huge scoop. And the second thing is, let's all put a shout out for journalism as a whole, my friend, because if there aren't people to write these stories when they come up, we never find out about them. And guys like Mike Babcock coach forever. So whether it's politics or sports, it's journalism 1 and bad guys nothing. How about that?
I look at, and there was a lot of people that doubted Bissonnette, which is, right away. And I was kind of surprised at how many wanted to defend Babcock.
Well, hold on, though. There's two things. Because I was a guy who I think on your show said, let's wait and see what happens because Bissonnette isn't exactly 60 minutes here. So I don't think we were necessarily, and I'll put myself in those shoes. I sure as heck wasn't supporting Babcock by any means. I was saying, let's wait and see where this thing goes because Bissonnette is, he's a player's side. I wouldn't call him completely objective. He said on Twitter, I'm a player's website. We tell the player story. So I think it took the PA getting involved and the league getting involved, and they fleshed the whole thing out, Jay. And I'm not going to say anyone's defending Babcock. I think he got his due process, and it turned out to be guilty. Is that not fair?
Well, there was a lot of people when his quote came out, the statement, they're like, see, Biz Nasty's wrong. I don't like what he says on his podcast, which is two different things. You can say, hey, his podcast can be crass at times and it's not for me. That's totally valid. But yes, he's never tried to be an insider, really. He's never one who's falsified and put out stories, at least that I recall. Maybe he has and I don't remember them, but he doesn't claim to be that. And this was not really necessarily like a trade scoop. It was just like, hey, this is what's going on here, and people need to be aware of it. And, so good on him to bring it out. Good on the players, I feel, who spoke up to Ron Hainsey and the PA, because I saw a few players who admitted, you know what, I wasn't sure the PA was going to do anything about it, which means maybe in the past, Spec, there's been some players that have said complaints and the PA's done nothing. Like if you go way back to Alan Eagleson when he was screwing over Harrison and a few others, like that was awful, right? But it did happen when he was supposed to be working for the association. So I think this is a really good day for Ron Hainsey and Marty Walsh to gain some strength within the union to say, hey, you know what? We've got your back.
I totally agree. The PA has been a fairly ineffective body in a lot of ways for a lot of time, Jay. I agree with you on that 100%. And that's why they blow through executive directors every 3 or 4 years. Because this guy didn't do the job, so they get a new one. This guy didn't do the job, so they get a new one. You know, the last guy, Donald Fear, I felt was a ghost, right? As a hockey journalist, I thought Donald Fear was all but useless, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And so did many of the players. They finally run him out. They get another guy. So you know what? It's early in Marty Walsh's tenure, and it looks like he's got a win under his belt. And I think this is exactly why, if I'm a National Hockey League player, this is how I want my union fighting for me. They did a good job here. So you're right. It's a good day today for the PA, and you don't say that very often.
I saw Frank Cervalli's article, and he was kind of like, how's Jarmo Kekalainen? You know, like, they're the ones who hired Babcock when everybody said, hey, you know what the track record is. The track record, Johan Franzen, Mitch Marner, Mike Commodore, there's lots of guys, right? Like, and it's funny, Spec, like there'll be players I didn't like this coach, but they rarely go as public as they have by numerous players when it came to Babcock. Yet they're like, no. We know better. We're not going to listen. Mike has convinced us that he's improved, and clearly he hadn't. Do you think Kekalainen here, like, how short is the leash and how short should it be, or should he potentially have been gone with Babcock?
Well, I guess I'd say this to you, that if I own Columbus, I'm looking at this thing. It's a train wreck. Okay, this was very poor work on Kekalainen and John Davidson's behalf. I believe that Davidson said it's the biggest mistake he's made as a hockey executive. So, okay, so that's a bad play. I got to fire my coach 3 days before training camp starts.
Yeah.
If I'm firing my GM too, Jason, am I not like, am I submarining a whole season?
Yeah, potentially. That's fair. That's fair.
You know, I think I'm submarining a whole season. So, you know what? Jarmo, first of all, anyone who's got a chance to meet him, he's a pretty cool cat. He's smart. He takes a different view. He doesn't just do remember, everyone just said, of course he'll draft Puljujarvi. No, he didn't. He took a different route on that one. I have a lot of respect for him, but I judge GMs on their record, and his record in Columbus is awful.
Yes.
And now it's punctuated by this mistake. So yeah, if I own that team, I'm looking at my GM big time. And I'm saying to myself, okay, I got about 12 months to find the next one, or 8 months, because I'm probably, unless this guy does something crazy and this team is awfully good this year, I'm going to have a new GM in April. That's how I'm looking at it if I'm the owner of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Mark Spector joins us from Rogers Sportsnet. You know, I now maybe I'm naive, Spec.
Oh, of course you are. But aren't we all?
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice thing about it.
Sure. This has to be the end of Mike Babcock, not only in the National Hockey League, anywhere coaching, because he clearly doesn't get it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. He's absolutely. He's got a second chance. You know, he got a second chance. I mean, this is like Bill Peters coming back and you know, racially profiling somebody, right? He got a second chance to quit being a bully. He got a second chance to quit pulling the kind of garbage he pulled with Mitch Marner in Toronto. You'll remember.
Yep.
He made him sit down and list who the least in shape teammates were, and then he outed them to the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just prehistoric coaching mantra. And somehow Mike got another chance, and I'm a second chance guy, man. I'll tell you what, you didn't hear me coming out and saying Mike should never get another chance. I'm all for guys getting a second chance. Now we're talking about third chances, right? So when does Mike Babcock deserve a third chance?
Never.
I'm going to be retired by then, pal, and I'm working for a few more years. So, yeah, he blew his second chance. He blew it. Absolutely blew it. Hockey is not – we're going to play games, pal. Camps are going to open Wednesday without Mike Babcock. Training camp's going to open on the weekend or preseason without Mike Babcock. And that season's going to open on April, whatever it is, 9th without Mike Babcock. Life goes on, pal. And Mike Babcock ain't part of it anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think the league's going to miss him.
Nope,
I'll say
they will
that.
not.
The Young Guns tournament, you know, Bo Akey had a really good first game. You know, Petrov. You know, the young kids, I thought kind of, you know what, the players you thought would be good were the players that stood out, and that's really all that matters at the end. Now they'll come to main camp. There's going to be 55 or 56 players when they officially announce the roster. I don't think Fancy's going to play to start anyways, a little bit banged up.
Okay.
Now they get on the ice on Thursday, Spec. Now, unless somebody's medical goes awry and, you know, there's got to be some sort of injury. Like I think we got to go back to the Theo Peckham days of somebody not necessarily being in good enough shape at training camp, right? So I don't see conditioning really being an issue anywhere. And then, the battle begins for them. So if I have to put you right now and say Lavoie or Sutter, or Gagne, who's the 12th forward?
If Sutter is the Sutter that, we watched play in Pittsburgh and for some of his time in Vancouver, if Sutter can recapture himself and be an effective, all they need is 9 minutes a night out of this guy, pal. So if Sutter can be Sutter, he gets the job over both those guys, in my opinion, in a heartbeat. Okay. The team, if you put Jay Woodcroft and Ken Holland on True Serum and ask them the question you just asked me, they'd say, we hope it's Sutter. That's what they hope. If it's not, then who knows? It's the wily veteran Gagne and the young rookie Lavoie, but neither of them solve, in my opinion, the Edmonton Oilers' fourth line center issue / dilemma, whatever you want to call it. Sutter, if he's healthy and playing well, he does solve it.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right. Like if we were just taking a carbon cutout and saying, okay, what do they need? Oh, right shot center, 6'3", who can win faceoffs, kill penalties, right? That's what they can do. So
right.
The other thing I have is, do you have confidence in their goaltending on the penalty kill? Because if there's one area that Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen were infinitely better at, it was penalty kill. Goaltending. Like, they were very good. Koskinen was top. I think Koskinen was 6th, and Mike Smith had the second best save percentage over a 3-year period on the penalty kill. So goaltender's got to be your best guy. The Oilers going to need they need more saves from their goaltender. Maybe they need a few other things in front of them, sure, but it starts with your goalie.
Okay, wait, though. What would make a goalie, if you got a goalie that's good and I got a goalie that's good, but my guy's better on the penalty kill than yours? Why? What's my guy doing that your guy's isn't?
Well, two things. I remember Mike Smith telling he felt the reason that it was good for him, their penalty kill was predictable. He knew where he had to be to make the saves. So he just said, you know what? I don't try to do other things. Like, I'm not cheating. I'm saying, I know in our system, this is where the shots are going to come from. And
so that's not a goalie thing. That's a players in front of him thing, right?
True, yes, but the goalies still have to make the saves. And if you look at some of the goals that went in last year on the power play, those are where the goalie's in the position, but he's not making the save. So I think it's a combination of both.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I think that the Oilers goalie situation it's fair to call it a question mark. We've seen a million sophomore players over the years that had good rookie seasons and weren't as good in their second year, whether they're a skater or a defenseman, a goal, whatever.
Yeah.
We've seen it. It's a history of sports. They didn't just invent the term sophomore jinx yesterday. It's 100-year-old term in sports. So let's see how Skinner plays. And Jack Campbell's got to prove he can play too. He was nice in relief in the playoffs. He was okay down the stretch in the odd start, but he was brutal last year, and he's got to prove he can play. So if you're telling me the Oilers' goaltending situation is a question mark, I don't have the evidence to disagree with you.
Yeah, no, it's that to me is the one big thing to look at. Their penalty kill. Now it's hard in the preseason, of course, because but I'll be interested to see who they deploy and which pairings. Because the one thing, Ekholm and Desharnais were one penalty kill unit together a lot down the stretch.
Okay.
But the guy who played the most on the penalty kill down the stretch and was actually very good and wasn't on the ice for many goals against was Darnell Nurse. And didn't really matter who he played with. So I still expect Darnell Nurse to be on your top pair. But that becomes like Broberg and Desharnais. When you look at certain battles, it's like, can Broberg do what Desharnais does on the penalty kill? That's going to be something to watch for in the preseason.
Well, one of the things we say about, one of the hockey axioms, Jason, is your fourth line guys have to kill penalties, because I don't want my first line guys killing penalties, right? My third line guys need to kill penalties because I'd rather they block shots than my second line guys.
Yeah.
So when you look at your D, why is Darnell Nurse supposed to be killing penalties? He's probably your top defenseman. He is in this team, your top defenseman.
But he's not on the power play. That's why.
Well, okay, fair. But I would sure love to get through some of these power play or penalty kills with Kulak and Desharnais and Broberg blocking the shots and maybe busting an ankle once in a while than the guy I'm trying to play 25 minutes a night. That's all I'm saying. So sure, Nurse is going to kill some penalties because he's a big stud and he's good at it. However, I guess I'm asking you, why does my first D-man expected to kill penalties but my first line centerman isn't.
Well, I think a fair point, because most, like, your first line center's on the power play, right? And, you know, you look at Alex Pietrangelo, he kills a lot of penalties, right? Now, Erik Karlsson's the one kind of top guy who doesn't kill penalties. But if you go look around the league, most
Petro
teams
does for sure.
Most teams
and
top
runs a great
D-men,
power play.
most top D-men are killing penalties. Most of them.
They are. I know that. Sure. I watch the game too, and I get it. It's just a sort of a weird question I've asked myself for a long time. We don't want Connor McDavid to block that shot, and I understand why. But we asked Darnell Nurse to block that shot, and he plays usually more minutes. So anyway, it's just a little weird.
You know what? Spec, we'll ask Sean Brown about that. I'll be curious about the D-men's point of view on that. Something tells me they probably really want to do it because they're a defender, right? Like their main mindset.
I'll tell you one
defend.
thing. If I'm trying to be a third pairing defenseman in the NHL, and I say to my coach, I'm not a very good penalty killer, I'm not sure I should get the job. Like the third pairing guy, he should be chomping at the bit to kill penalties, shouldn't he?
He should be, yeah. Well, it just gets you more ice time, gets you more involved, for sure. Spec, have a good one. We will chat with you tomorrow.
All right, Jay. Thanks for the chat.
That's Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We have the fantasy report, little NHL version for you, because I know a lot of you are playing fantasy football right now in the NFL. There is 2 games tonight, so you got your lineup set. It's not going to change. But NHL Dynasty Leagues, we'll get into a little players to look for that you might like this upcoming season. Lots of text in our Jiffy Lube inbox, 833-401-1440. That's where you can text us. We'll return Gregor and Halley on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
How exciting is it to have sports talk radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch.
Every night, she's got to read for 10 to 15 minutes a night. Something could be anything. Could be
it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio, Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for everything. Get it done and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit EdmontonKubota.com.
Something just put together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20%
5:25. Woohoo! I'm hoping I can announce the big news before the end of the show. I'm just waiting to get the green light from the higher ups, which is nice. So, sports fans, as I said from the get-go, this is going to be a work in progress, that we would grow and expand and have more sports coverage. And we are definitely going to have that sooner than later. So that is going to be quite exciting. Once I get the green light, I can officially say what it is, hopefully in the final segment of the show. So that's awesome. Awesome. Lots of text still coming in. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys. When does a person not get a second chance? People like Babcock and Peters, what do they do? An example is that bad. But what Rice did and other figures have done bad stuff, and they get a second chance. You know what? It's a great question, Manny D. It's a really fair question, right? Like, so here's the way I look at it. You can have a second chance in life, but doesn't necessarily guarantee that you get a second chance in the occupation that you did before. Is that fair? Right? Like because it wasn't even necessarily the second chance for Mike Babcock. He did it in Detroit. Then he did it in Toronto. Now, to a lesser extent. And now he does this before the season even begins. So, yeah, the fair question is to ask why. Right? Bill Peters. When Akeem Alou comes out and says, you know what, the guy's never reached out to me personally. Never had the courage to do it himself. Because trust me, it's, hey, you know what? Do you want to speak to him? I can help facilitate it. Why? Why wouldn't you? And because trust me, it wouldn't be hard for Bill Peters to get Akeem Alou's email address. You could send him an email. Hey, man, I understand if you don't want to, but I would like to. Now, I could see why Akeem Alou says, man, you've had 10 years. Now, that's his choice. Someone might say, okay, I'll listen to it. See what you have to say. Maybe. But it's his right. He doesn't have to grant him the opportunity to say, oh, I'm sorry for being a complete you-know-what many years ago. You know, it's you have it as your right as a human being to say, you know what? No, I don't want it. It's not because my feelings matter for me. Now, some people will say, you know, you talk to different therapists, say, hey, you know what? Usually if you forgive and move on, it's better. Well, that's a great theory. I'm sure some people out there listening will tell you, well, it doesn't always work. Right? Doesn't always work. Some people are great at not wanting to harbor their hate. I know you see parents who've had their child taken from them, drunk driver or for whatever reason, a terrible accident. And some of them are like, you know what? I had to forgive him because otherwise I was living with the hate and it wasn't good for me. Whereas other people are like, you know what? No, I want to hold that because that's who I am and that's fine. Everybody's different. So I can't really explain why, Bill Peters at this stage was somebody that they had to give another opportunity to. He wasn't, you know what? It's an honor and a privilege to get to be a professional coach, to get to be a coach at the WHL, to get to be a coach at the AJHL, to be a coach in the new Professional Women's Hockey League. Right? Name the league. It's an honor. It's not a given right where, if I screw up and be a complete ass, well, I deserve another chance. Why? Why do you deserve a second chance when somebody who has done all the right things, put in all their time, why don't they get a chance to be a coach? Right? I've never been one to really buy. It's like people say, well, this fan base deserves a championship. Why? Because it feels good? Like, I don't know. I've never, not sure I bought in it, but I definitely don't believe that everyone does. It's a saying, but I'm not sure it's accurate for every individual. Like, you molest multiple children? I'm sorry. I don't believe that you'd deserve whatever your occupation was. Let's say you were a teacher. Think about it. If you're a teacher, you get kicked out of the school system. Do you get back in? Right? Like, why couldn't professional sports or coaching in general and say, hey, you're part of the coaching union. You do this, you don't get back in. Right? If you set the guidelines out to people at the start, right? You want to have the privilege of getting back in? Guess what? There you go. We'll see. See how it goes. Hey, Gregor, Kaepernick never got a second chance. Yeah, funny how that works, isn't it? Think about what he did. He knelt down. He had a quiet protest. Didn't get a second chance. So that's it's not great, is it? Not great at all. So, hey, let's get to Fantasy Report, brought to you by Next Gen Transportation, heavy haul transport provider, 100% locally owned and operated, and huge supporter of numerous youth sports teams and charities. They love giving back to the community. NextGenTransportation.com. I know, Cons, you've been boning up. You've been studying on this as we look at a little bit of football, but more I kind of want to focus on the hockey as we head in. And I know you've been looking up different drafts. Number one, have you found, are there certain guidelines that you want to ensure you have in your hockey fantasy league?
I mean, I like to say this probably varies person to person, right? How in-depth do you want to go? Some people might be very casual, like we've talked about in the past, and you just want points and that's it. Other people want to go a little bit more in-depth, which I kind of like. I kind of like that it's not just, hey, who's going to score goals? A little more strategy put into it when it comes to block shots. Maybe it's plus minus, maybe it's hits, things like that. Makes you maybe go off the board a little bit when those top point getters go and you're thinking, I could go for a depth piece here, or maybe I could take someone who might help me win another category. I kind of like that one. So that's kind of the way it seems a lot of people are leaning, is just a little bit more in depth, lets you kind of feel like a GM a little bit more, and you can kind of find more categories to get into. That's one that we've noticed has been very popular so far in Fantasy Frenzy. Like I said, we're going to get into the NFL or the NHL a lot more the next couple of weeks here with our previews. But right now, it seems like the consensus is let's go a little bit more in depth. Let's have some more categories, find some players that might not be a traditional fantasy player.
So are you guys going to be including block shots, you think?
We might. We've talked to a few people. You know what? An NHL Survivor Pool is one we've got a lot of requests for, actually.
Yeah, that's the Survivor Pool is good because there's always a few upsets. You never expect, think about it down the stretch. People thinking with 2 games to go last year, oh, obviously I'm taking Pittsburgh to beat Chicago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They would have bet everything on that.
Exactly. So we're thinking we're going to look into that. Probably do it with the NBA as well. We're on Saturdays. You pick the game. It has to be a game that's being played on Saturday, and see how long the Survivor Pool can go. In our NFL pool, I think we're down to about 140 teams. That was from 290.
So you almost half are done. Well, actually over half are done already.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, it goes quick.
So KC, obviously, well, that knocked out what have been the other big upsets?
I have to go back and take a look here to see the real big ones. The Vikings in week 1, where they were taking them on the Buccaneers. That was one that got a lot of people. The Chargers losing week 1
and losing week 2.
Well, if you took them in week 2, what were you thinking? I mean, I guess you probably should have. Tennessee.
Well, they lost in overtime, man. It's not like Tennessee's don't downplay the fact that your Chargers are 0-2 and that somehow losing to Tennessee.
I'm not
wasn't a bad thing.
I'm just saying if you took them in Survivor, then you haven't been watching NFL long enough, because the Chargers just do those sorts of things. But I'll have to take a look here and see what the real big breaks were. But yeah, half the pool gone.
Now, for those of you that are going to be in a fantasy draft, if you recall, here's some players. If you have hits in your league, keep these players in mind from last year. Luke Shen led the league with hits, 318. Radko Gudas, 312. Now, Gudas is on a new team, but still, rather physical player. Nick Delorier, a forward, had 306. Jack McBain from Arizona. You're probably like, who? Jack McBain. Guy had 12 goals, too. But he had 304 hits. Those are the only players in the league who had more than 300 hits. And actually, even there was only 9 players with more than 250. So it's a pretty big drop-off. So if you have hits and there are any value in your league, you kind of want to get one of the top 10 guys, right? Matt Martin, Tanner Jeannot, Keegan Kolazar in Vegas, Garnet Hathaway, Jeremy Lozon in Nashville. Right? Brady Tkachuk, for a guy who scores a lot of points, he's fairly physical, 242. Then I'm looking at other guys who produce some points for you that will bid in the hits. Mo Sider, JT Miller had 200 hits. It's really the only guys that put up any sort of points other than Foligno that I'd mentioned. If you're looking at hits, so keep that in mind. And then if you look at block shots, Alex Martinez by a large margin. He had 244, Connor Halley. He's like the Connor McDavid of block shots. Second, Braden McNabb, also in Vegas, 198. Now, Vegas had 3 of the top 7. Do you think, I got to go look now. I'd love to dig in deeper. Does Vegas, how many of those are at home? Because does Vegas have a stats crew? Because trust me, that's my one thing. And you know what? If you're doing fantasy hockey, I think it's important to look at the home and split. And I'm going to do that right now because I want to do it at home to see how many. So they had 244, 198, and 177 for Martinez, McNabb, and Pietrangelo, right? So now I go on home ice. Martinez, 132. So he had 132 at home in 39 games, and then he had 112 on the road. Right? But Pietrangelo, he's 7th overall. He's actually 11th overall on home ice. So maybe it's not the guy. Really, when you look at it, Braden McNabb, 101 at home. He basically had 98 on the road. So it's pretty even. So it wasn't the home guy. Just Vegas, for whatever reason, last year, they had 3 guys who block a lot of shots. 3 defenders. It kind of makes sense, right? If you look at that. So those are some other statistics because everybody knows, like most people for the most part, you know, the goals and the assists. Obviously, there's certain goals that count for more depending on the league. Some people want to value power play goals and 5-on-5 goals a little bit different. Personally, I'm not sure I would do that. Why am I punishing someone because they're good at scoring on the power play? There's still a goalie in net. Yeah, there's one fewer attacker on the ice, but I don't like to just rip on a guy because, wow, he's really good on the power play. Well, why aren't they good at, why can't they score? You got the advantage. Like people in Toronto, I always bring that up. I'm like, if Austin Matthews is such a lethal scorer, why doesn't he score on the power play? Like, honestly, why doesn't he? You have the advantage. You have the best players on the ice, yet he doesn't score a lot of power play goals. It's odd to me, very odd, and I wonder if that ever changes for him. Like obviously, right now, the best power play goal scorer is Leon Draisaitl. He had 32 last year. What do you have? Like 26, 27 the year before. Like he crushes it. Him and McDavid. There's he was first in power play goals. McDavid was second. The Oilers' power play is historically good, so maybe you shouldn't be surprised by that.
Wasn't Matthews really good at blocking shots?
Oh, God. Yeah, you're right. He did block some shots, which good for him. I don't know. Do I want, is that the number I'm looking at to say, hey, look at this guy. He's blocking a lot of shots. That's fantastic. Right?
He could score you 50 and block a lot of shots.
Well, now I'm looking at Austin Matthews in shots blocked. Like he's not in the top 50 amongst forwards. I got to find where he is. Like, so it might have been a tad overblown by someone out of Toronto. That would never happen. Like that would never happen. Then they would want to overblow a stat. He had 78 block shots, which was 4th on his team. And amongst forwards, that would put him at like, what does that put him at? Oh, geez. It puts him at like 185th.
Before the injuries, though, I'm just going back. At one point in the season, January 25th, he did lead forwards and blocked shots. Yeah, because I think we were joking about that.
Well, he only missed 8 games, though.
Yeah, maybe he had to stop that for a reason.
Yeah. Or maybe they wised up and said, yeah, we probably don't need Austin Matthews, being top 10 in shots blocked. Hey, Greg, it's awesome to hear you and see you back on Sports Radio in Edmonton. I like how he said see and hear because that's right. You can hear us on Sports 1440, and you can also be watching us live on Oilers Nation YouTube channel. Nice. When we come back, we had a few picks, so we'll get to our picks of the day brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca and lots more texts. It's a hot topic. People are chiming in on Babcock and more. And you know what? Hey, everybody's going to have different opinions on it, on how people view things. So we'll get to some opposite opinions. I'm not sure they're popular, but they are the opposite. On the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Sports betting is now live at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at PlayAlberta.ca.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Timber! It's September at the Lawnmower Hospital. And whether you're day call for felling an old oak or making nimble cuts 60 feet up or bucking firewood down to size, Echo Chainsaws provides the power and durability for the toughest jobs. The Lawnmower Hospital has a huge variety of Echo saws, from top handles for climbing or the Farm and Ranch Timberwolf, plus lots of Echo brush cutters, chippers, and shredders for cleanup. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com.
Your old furnace can die in the blink of an eye, so why take that chance this winter? Eric Mikowski here, head of the family at Furnace Family. The time for a new furnace is now. Not only will you have peace of mind on those cold winter nights, you will save money on those super expensive gas bills. Unsure? Furnace Family can come check your furnace, and if you buy a new one from us, the check is free. Daikin has an industry-leading lifetime warranty on their heat exchangers. It could be the last furnace you ever buy. Visit furnacefamily.com. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night, furnacefamily.com.
Leduc Goldsmiths has been run for over 30 years under the same family, from generation to generation, uncle to nephew, father to son, bringing you quality work and service you can be proud of for over 3 decades. That's what you get with the guys from Leduc Goldsmiths. With the finest jewelry available, custom and repair work you can hang your hat on, it's their face-to-face service that keeps you coming back. The pride in their family jewelry store is the pride you take home. Leduc Goldsmiths on Main Street, Leduc. Leduc's Jewelry Store, family owned and operated for over 30 years.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. On the Rocks Kitchen and Drink is celebrating their 17th birthday on September 22nd with the Arcana Kings. Get there early to ensure your chance to enter for a $500 cash giveaway on therocksedmonton.com.
$5:44. Welcome back. We get to our Play Alberta pick of the day. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where all the revenue stays right here in the province. And every day we do a $20 parlay wager with 3 different games or a prop bet mixed in. And at the end of the month, anything we win goes directly to charity. This month we are helping out Kids Sport. We actually got on a little bit of a run and then lost Green Bay. We had the Elks winning, we had the Bills winning, and we had Green Bay, and Green Bay came up short. And we always like to include the listener, and this one came in from Dan. Guys, you got to go with Baltimore. For some reason, they're a huge underdog tonight. They are. A little surprising to me, but still. So we took Baltimore, Cons, as the big underdog, and then we went with the Rangers to beat Boston and the Dodgers to defeat the Tigers. All for the kids. So hopefully it helps out at playalberta.ca.
Could it be Verlander? Is he that big of an X factor for the Astros? 3.39 ERA this year, 11-8.
Yeah, maybe, but hey, who knows?
He can still be had. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the odds, you got to go with it.
Hey, Gregor, is the goaltending on the power play a new thing you learned? The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, almost as bad as JP Stick being too short. That's why he's not good at NHLer from RL. No RL. And actually, we said the penalty kill. So if you're going to chirp, at least get it accurate. And yes, goaltending matters on the penalty kill. You don't think it does? And Puljujarvi's inability to handle the puck was due to him having an extremely long stick and not working on it. This has been proven. Now you can dislike it. Doesn't mean it's inaccurate. So, hey, Greg's, is there a coaches union? 100% there is. Yes. Now, each league has their own, right? I don't think there's now I'd have to ask if there's a coaches union that covers across all the leagues. Probably not. I think I know the NHL has their own coaching union, as they should, and the other leagues do as well. But to me, the coaches union, rather than, defending the other ones, why wouldn't you be proactive and say, guess what? We're going to have a standard. Away we go. It's food for thought. I don't see why. So we'll see. Hey, boys, everybody deserves a second chance no matter what. That's not necessarily in the same profession, though. Babcock shouldn't coach again, but shouldn't be judged for life for Maple Scoop. Well, as we've said, Mike Babcock can go live his own life. He's got lots of money. It's not an issue. But to me, I think he's lost the privilege to be an NHL head coach and really to coach at any level. Honestly. Hey, Greg's, are we allowed? I'm excited for the Pizza Pig Out. Are we allowed to hang out at the venue afterwards in case we don't buy tickets to the Oilers game to be in the seats? Well, the game is a road game, right, on October 11th, and we're actually having a viewing party. We've teamed up, so we're going to have the Pizza Pig Out. It's back where it all began, October 11th at Molson House, right, which, of course, is right at the entrance to the arena at Rogers Place. It's a great setup in there. That's where we did the first one, and I like this setup, and I love the drive-in movie. Don't get me wrong. That was fantastic. That was a little bit out of necessity. This is one, it's 18 plus, and you're going to get to try way more pizzas this way because on the tables you go by, you can try one piece from Papa John's, and then you can try one from here and one from there and go down the list. Whereas when we were in the vehicle, you'd get 3 pizzas, but maybe 4 depending on how many people you were, but that was it. This way, if you want a group of you, you know what? There's 4 of you. You guys could try 16 different pizzerias because each can try one from a different place. And that's the advantage of having it set up in Molson House. So the Pizza Pig Out will go on October 11th from 6 until 8. And then, because the game won't start, let's be honest, it's opening night. Game's not starting until 8:20. And we have a viewing party across the street at the Ice House, downtown at Canadian Brew House. So if you're going to the Pizza Pig Out and you want to then stay and watch the game with everybody, we're just going to go across the street and it'll be right there. And it'll be a lot of fun. So yes, that's what we're doing. It's a road game, not a home game. So we will be having the viewing party. And Connor and many of the other gents will be there. It's going to be loads of fun. The pizza's unreal. And it's all for kid sport. If you've never done it, you will not regret it. It is amazing.
Bring a notepad. That's my advice. You jot down what kind you liked. Because we were hitting up places for like months afterwards. Some of them we forgot. So that's kind of my little piece of advice. I guess you could jot it down on your phone, but the ones you like, you're going to want to take notes so you can order it again. So good.
Yes, it is one where that's a really good idea. Notepad, or maybe you put it notes in your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If however you want to do it.
If you live in 2023, I guess that's a simpler way to do it. But yeah, there was a lot. And I mean, we might have missed out. So I'm looking forward to getting out there again. And yeah, it's a really good time. Great cause. And then having that luxury to walk across to the Ice House, even better. Perfect night, really.
Hey, guys, early season prediction. If you can pick one team that didn't make the playoffs last year that's going to this year in the NHL, who would it be? For me, it's Ottawa from Josh in St. Albert. Yeah, I'm going to the Buffalo Sabres all day. They were close. I like their defense. I think it's only getting better. They've got lots of good forwards. Obviously there's a little bit of concern because they've got so many young goaltenders, but I think their goaltending will be just fine. I am going with the Buffalo Sabres. Connor?
I like that pick, and I would love to see them get into the playoffs. Team that didn't make it, I guess it's not really a surprise, but can I just go with the Pittsburgh Penguins? I think Erik Karlsson can get them back in there. They only missed by 1 point, so I guess it wouldn't be a huge surprise, but I think I'd go with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think the boys get back into it. A little more consistency this year.
All right. I like that.
From the West, I don't know if I think anyone will.
Oh, yeah. It's It's rare that all 8 teams make it year to year. And I look at Winnipeg is definitely a team that's where they're going to go. What happens if they're close? Do they suddenly trade off guys?
True.
And then Seattle. Now, some would look and say, man, Seattle was able to get in the playoffs despite having terrible goaltending all year or inconsistent goaltending. It's fair. But they also had incredibly healthy defense core. And just like the Oilers had 5 D-men play 80 games. They're the only team in the NHL to do that. Cody Ceci missed 2 games. That's it. The other 4 played every game. Fantastic. History will tell you that's very rare to happen again. That's why I think Broberg and Desharnais are going to be used more this year. And that's okay. Gives them a little bit more experience. Seattle, same thing. They had 6 D-men play over 73 games. Like, basically, they ran the same 6 guys. That's a huge advantage. Huge advantage. So they lose a little depth in Soucy being out the door. So what are they going to now? They added some guys too, but is their goaltending going to be better? And their forwards, like, they had unbelievable balance across all their lines. Will that happen again? We'll see. I think it's difficult. History will tell you it's difficult to have that occur all the time. Maybe it will. Like, is Jared McCann, is this the Jared McCann now? He's had 2 pretty good seasons, so I can see if people say, hey, Gregor, that's who he is. Okay. I get it. Some will say Matty Beniers, ready to take another step. Okay. I can see that argument. No question, right? But when I look at Seattle, I think that's a team that could be, like, they had 8 or 9 guys at 40-plus points, man. They had lots of guys, 20-goal scorers, right? McCann was a 20-goal scorer. Eberle was a 20-goal scorer. Beniers, Yanni Gord, Daniel Sprong, right? From the 4th line, he scored 21 goals playing like 12 minutes a night. It's amazing. It's not back. Bjorkstrand, Jaden Schwartz. Now, Burakovsky got injured. He would have been another guy. So I think they work hard. They'll be in the mix, Cons, but I think Seattle and Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, those 4 teams are going to have a real big push to see who gets the 2 wildcard spots.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Winnipeg, that was a good one you brought up there. I could see them falling off. I'm trying to be a little bit more optimistic when it comes to Seattle and hope they kind of just continue the trend and the direction that they have gone and what we saw from last year. But you're right. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Health plays such a big role. Things can go wrong quick. There's been a lot of times in the past where we've penciled teams in the playoffs in the off season, and then it goes downhill and doesn't work out the way you expect. So, yeah, Winnipeg would be one for me that I would say that could be a team that drops out.
And I can officially announce it. October 1st is when our partnership with Fox Sports will begin. They got the Cowherd Show, Dan Patrick. We're going to have some great shows. We will have Fox Sports from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. on the weekdays, and then 24 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday. And if you're a big NFL fan, their NFL Sunday on Fox is unreal. It covers all the leagues. You'll be getting all the information. So there you go. That's the next step in the evolution of Sports 1440, as we will be 21 hours a day on the weekday and then 24 hours on the weekends. So awesome. Big news. I'm excited for it. Can't wait. So there you go. You won't have to change the station on the weekends anymore. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Cattail Crossing. You can enjoy half-price golf Mondays through Thursdays. Elevate your game without emptying your wallet. Book your tee time at cattailcrossing.ca. Have yourselves a great night. Here is the Con Man. Good night.
It's time for a Sports 1440 update.
Week 2 in the NFL wrapping up tonight. One game underway right now. Saints-Panthers tied at 3 apiece heading into the second quarter. Later tonight, the Browns take on the Steelers. You can watch that one with me out at the Canadian Brewhouse Spruce Grove location. Major League Baseball Reds lead the Twins 4-1 in the fifth. Also in the fifth, the Mets up on the Marlins 1-0. Nationals, White Sox scoreless in the fourth, and the Braves trail the Phillies 3-1 midway through the third. Earlier today, the Royals knocked off the Guardians 6-4. Still to come tonight, Red Sox take on the Rangers. Astros host the Orioles. The Mariners head to Oakland. Padres up against the Rockies. And the Tigers taking on the Dodgers. We're done for the evening. Carrie Estelle goes back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Have a great night.